yearn. If you yearn for horizons unexplored, for fellowship and purpose, for a cause worth dying for, to you, we can promise magic.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Guild Wars 3 Daily. What's this? We had some messages here. XOXO, keep up the good work, Bucko, from Vancouver, Canada. From someone called Cookies. Thank you, Uberfizz. Thank you very much. Shit, man. I've got to clear the mails out in here. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Guild Wars 3 Daily. Is it Guild Wars 3 Daily for breakfast today? No. It's 5 o'clock. Wait, what is it now? Fuck me, it's 7 o'clock. I've not had a good day. I have a good excuse again. I've always got a good excuse. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to make a big song and dance out of this, really. It was very odd. I had a weird moment where I thought to myself, oh, I should tweet about this. This is something. Or, oh, I should do a YouTube post. But I elected to just put a little message in Discord earlier today. And I guess I'll put it in the title of this video. Yeah, I didn't have a very good day today because this is hard to talk about because I don't know. I like to keep things a bit anonymous or whatever. I don't really like talking about real life in general. It's the same as the whole thing with the fire. Basically, I got robbed. Some people saw a burned down house, saw someone clearly on the back foot, clearly already going through a trauma, clearly not going through a good time. And again, I don't want to welch on this or whatever. And thought, yeah, let's fucking steal from them. Like I just, all right, it wasn't that bad. So I don't want to make out it was that bad. I don't know if I want to say what got stolen. Because I don't know, I just have this weird feeling that they're watching, and as soon as they hear exactly what it was, they'll know it was them, and... So I don't know. I'm probably being ridiculous with that. I'll tell you the story as best I can, though. So there's a bunch of workmen at the house. I think I mentioned that on the last episode of Guild Wars 3 Daily, didn't I? There's a bunch of workmen there. And so what took me away a couple of days ago is all of the contents in the house... Okay, to roll it all the way back, everything's smoke damaged and fucked, okay? Like smoke damage is bad. It's way worse than you're imagining it to be. You think it's nothing. It's a fucking nightmare. And stuff stinks, and it's chemically, and it's bad, and it's not good. So, so one insurance company we're trying to get contents insurance off of, and basically is saying, leave that shit there until we're sure that we're liable for it, and then we'll come and check, and then we can figure out the costs and stuff. On the other hand, there's another insurance company that want to rebuild the house and need everything out. And it's been like weeks. It's been what, like 3 months now? It's been weeks and weeks and weeks. So the company that's stalling and delaying because they want to pretend that they're not liable has finally run out of time. So for ages we've had a bunch of damaged stuff at the house. I've had like all this crap in my room and through the hallways and the office and stuff. It's been all over the place. And now the house is being repaired. So it was do or die like a couple of days ago. I basically grabbed a bunch of stuff, got some workmen in. The workmen clean. Okay, so just so that you guys know, so I lived at that house. Oh, there's too many things to explain here. I lived at that house for almost a year. Never got robbed. All right. It's a property in a sleepy village with nothing but old people around. Basically, they're just old retired people. It's a nice, quaint, what you would imagine a small British village. You wouldn't think that there's any nasty pieces of work there or anything, right? It's not the kind of place that, like, so people were talking in Discord earlier about porch pirates and stuff, Like, I've had countless deliveries. No one's ever stolen a delivery. It's the kind of place where you don't... Yeah, and you see this, like, this idea of high trust societies versus low trust societies, and whether you need to lock the front door and shit like that, right? This is the kind of place where not only do you need to lock a front door, I could have left the front door open for like days if I'd wanted. No one would have ever like actually gone into the fucking place. There's no way. There's no way. All right. And as I said, after the fire happened, I suddenly met all these neighbors and all these people that were, in the village. And they're all lovely, and they're all so kind, and they're all so nice, and they're all, I don't know, So whatever. So anyway, so the burned out, the garden's been burned out, and the house has clearly been burned out, and anyone that lives in that village will have seen it and will have known about it. And it's a quiet village, but it's not like there's a lot of traffic going through there or anything. So basically everyone knows, oh, there's a fire. 2 houses were caught in the fire, right? Not just mine. And that's it, right? So everyone knows. But what changed last weekend was we got the workmen in and got rid of all of our shit. So basically went in and decided absolutely for realsies, okay, what can be cleaned? Anything like, so like any porous woods, fabrics, shit like that, can't clean it. Got to get rid of it, right? But certain other things, like if they're made of metal, or they're wiped down, not just wiped downable, because like even porous wood to an extent is wiped downable, but there are certain things that you might be able to clean. Or like, so for example, my Quest 3, I have a Quest 3, it happened to be in a box, right? So the box, the white box, a bit like the Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition I was talking about. The white box is fucked and is all just because it was in the attic, right? Is all fucked and destroyed. But the actual quest on the inside is all right. So unless you want to claim from an insurance company that they need to replace the entire thing because of the box being destroyed, which is not something I've thought to do, or I think will get you very far. You can't claim for like tech items just because the box for the tech item is fucked. I'm sure you can't do that, right? So you know, there's stuff to keep and there's stuff. So over the weekend, as I say, when I should have been here, guys, talking relentlessly about Guild Wars, everything. I was instead dealing with this, right? So move the stuff that I want to keep into a conservatory. I don't know whether you guys know what a conservatory is. I think Americans aren't really familiar with the term, but imagine like an extension to your house. House extensions are big in the UK because everyone's houses are tiny because we have a huge population on a tiny island, right? So so it's like a glass exterior extra chunk of the house, right? It's like a sunroom, if you will, right? Really nice to go set out. So I had like a little PC there with a scanner where I'd scan like family photo albums or like run Minecraft servers off of the PC there and have a couch in there or whatever. Now, as it happens with the fire, that room, all of the doors were closed. Close the door. If they had simply closed the door. All right, so that room's all right. That room's not so bad, okay? It's because all the doors were closed. It did have damage, right? But so the first thing that basically set up was get these guys that are going to help fix the house. Just clean the conservatory, and it got cleaned. And then over the weekend, moving all my shit into the conservatory. Shit I wanted to keep goes into the conservatory. And the nice thing as well is because it's an extension to the house, because it's you know, it juts out of it. You can lock the doors, right? So it's completely locked. It's completely sealed in there. Now, if someone were to go snooping around in the garden and stare through the windows, they would see a bunch of boxes in there. But, you know, they'd be smashing and actually forcing and, you know, like full-blown breaking into the house to get the stuff there. So everything gets moved into the conservatory. The rest of the house is totally empty. So the rest of the house gets emptied. So like fucking mountains of furniture, like bed bases and chests of drawers and like a little fabricy Amazon-y ones and shelving units, bookshelves, wardrobes, corner units, all the rotten moldy shit. Well, there wasn't that much of that because it cleared that out immediately after the fire, but like tins of like stuff that had been caught in the fire where the tin food is still fine but the wrapper had melted and burnt off, so you don't know what's in the tin anymore, right? You know, old packets of like dry food like Angel Delight, or you know, just mountains and mountains and you know, Tupperware and cookware and loads of shit. So all is getting dumped, right? All this stuff's getting dumped. So in the front garden now, so for a few months the house has clearly been burnt down, but it's all right. The front garden is now full of waste that the workmen have all moved out, thrown in the front, and at some point they'll be hiring a skip and moving that all away, and that's at their liberty to do that. It's whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? They did that so there's a new waste pile basically out the front ready to be taken away that appeared. What day are we on right now? Where am I in the week? I'm losing sense of time. So today's Thursday. So it probably appeared in the front garden on Tuesday or something. It only just appeared on the front garden. Only just appeared. Now, before I get into the final part of the story here, just so that you know, the conservatory isn't that big. And its job was to have everything in it. So I didn't end up putting everything in the conservatory. I didn't put everything in the conservatory that I wanted to keep. So the work guys get there this morning. No, it's like literally one day after they got there. I just don't understand it. A fucking day? And looking at the waste pile in the front, it's like, oh, that's a bit bigger than it was before. That's very strange. I'm telling this story very slowly. Sorry, it's because I'm tired and my head's moving slow. The waste pile's bigger, so hold on. So, for example, I dumped my bed base. I'm throwing my bed base away. But the mattress itself, right? Now, you guys might think this is a bit manky, all right? Judge away. Mattresses are expensive, man. They're fucking expensive, right? I spent a lot of money on a really nice mattress. Now, that mattress had a mattress protect. The mattress was not high in the room where the smoke cloud was. It was low down, right? Because I have a lowish bed, right? The mattress has a mattress protector on it. Because I wet the bed. No, not that. It's not true. But it has like a, you know, like a fluffy sheet protector on it. Then it has an actual sheet. Then it had a duvet on it, right? Then it had, now these things are amazing. I don't know if you guys ever have these, but a weighted blanket. Weighted blankets are fucking amazing. You guys should all get them, right? I not only had one weighted blanket on it, because it was still cold when the fire happened. I had two, right? That's like 5 layers, right, on my bed. And so you guys know the story. When the fire happened, I was in bed. I got up, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that I definitely made the bed. In the process of escaping the burning building and getting dressed and all that shit and grabbing my go bag, I made the bed, all right? I definitely made the bed. So, there's 5 layers of protection. It's low down. Yeah, a bit of soot and a bit of smoke. And yeah, it kind of smells a bit, right? But I'm convinced I can get it clean and all right. It's not like the office chair or anything like that. It had a lot of layers over it. A lot of layers, all right? And I've put my nose right into it and given a good big whiff. And I think it's salvageable, right? I don't want to throw out like a fucking really expensive mattress. So for example, I've kept my mattress, right? But we had a couple of other mattresses in the property, and they've been dumped. But looking at the pile, there's like 5 mattresses on the white waste pile. When the workers get there this morning. So here I am. I'm gonna do Guild Wars 3 daily. Get a call. And they're basically like, yeah, there's extra shit out here. And just so that you know, there's some stuff missing too. So what it looks like's happened is someone that lives in that village. Also, I don't know, because it's happened so fast. They've seen the mess out front. And some like fucking chavvy, scummy, fucking I don't know what, right? They've been thinking to themselves, or just happened upon it, oh, I've got some shit to dump, and they can't be bothered to go to the actual dump to waste it. So they've just driven up to the property, knowing no one's there, and just dumped a bunch of their shit, so that when the skip gets taken away, when it gets taken away in the skip, all their shit gets skipped out with it too. And it's just the timing is just crazy to me. I just can't believe how fucking fast they did that. So either they've had an eye on it for a long time, or what. But anyway, so they do that, which is like fine, I guess. It's kind of violating and weird to think of someone like going right up into the house or whatever just to do something like that, right? And throw their fucking beds and their mattress and all their shit in there. But then on top of that, what they've decided to have a snoop around at the same time. And so here's how I got robbed. I lost, by the way, so it's not that bad. It's maybe 200 to 300 pounds worth of stuff, I would guess. Something like that, okay? So not everything got dumped. See, here's the other thing, all right? There is one room in the house that wasn't the conservatory and wasn't... Well, okay, there's one room in the house that wasn't the conservatory and also didn't get any fire damage. There was no fire damage. So at no point do the workmen need to do anything with this one final room that I'm talking about, this one mystery room. There's a place in the house that has no damage, so the workmen do not need to clear all the furniture out of it. They do not need to clear all of the items out of it. I do not have to dump all of the items out of it, right? Because they're not going to do any work in that one final room anyway. It's effectively another mini storage room. Effectively. Does anyone want to guess what that final mystery room might be? before I reveal what it is. Does anyone want to guess what that last thing might be? And this is where these people that have gone and fucking fly tipped clearly went snooping around. And I'll give you a hint. Someone in Discord was talking about something very similar to it just a minute ago. Sorry, I'm finally catching up the live chat here as well while you guys give your guesses. Bathroom? No. The property was locked and sealed. The toilet? No, not garage. Garage is a good guess. The torture basement? No, it's not a basement. It was the porch. Porch pirates. The porch. So, do I have to describe what a porch is? It's like another mini extension to the house. You got the front door to the house, the main door to the house with the lock, right? That is absolutely 100% locked, so no one can get in. But there's a porch in front of it, which is like a little exterior mini room. Again, a bit like a conservatory, which would go out the back. You got a porch, and the front door and the porch has a door as well. But that one wasn't locked. It's a fully closed fucking door, right? It's like a sliding, fully closed door. But the porch, so on the day of the fire, when I left the house, I closed the front door. So the porch was completely insulated from all smoke. And it was down on the ground floor, smoke rises and all that. So the porch had absolutely, was fine, right? So the porch was kind of a good storage room. The only thing was that the sliding door in front of the porch was closed, but not fully locked. Now, I'll just say, I lived at that property for nearly a year. And that entire year, that porch always had shit in it. Always. For example, a big expensive weight rack. For example, fuck tons of shoes, right? Putting the shoes in the porch. For example, expensive garden equipment that you might want to quickly grab so that you can go and do shit in the garden. And maybe other things that I might have put in there. And it's been like that. Or, for example, the local postman, right? If you get a delivery like from an Amazon driver or the local postman or whatever, they knew me. They knew the place. And what they would do is they would just open up the door, the sliding door, and leave stuff there. So, for example, if I didn't do this, right? But if I bought an iPad, I'll tell you, I bought a new phone last year. Remember last summer I bought a phone? Literally, they'll put the box in the porch, close the door back up, and wander off, right? And so for over a year, not over a year, for almost a year, that porch was not locked. I feel weird saying all this, man. Was not locked and always had shit in it, including, parcels and stuff. Never had a porch pirate. Porch piracy is one of those things that, again, sorry, I keep having these anecdotes. I don't know, man. These horrible little things where I'm taking digs at Americans. But porch piracy, I know it's a big, let's just put it this way, I know it's a big thing in some areas of the world, right? I never experienced it. And this is not a rough area, right? I've lived in low-income areas. I've lived in rough areas. When I was a teenager, I had multiple stories of people coming into my house, not stealing from me, but like stealing from my mum. Like my mum had like a purse, literally stolen straight out of the kitchen. Just because the back door was open, they went through the back garden, into the kitchen, took the purse while people were in the house and just wandered off, right? I've had multiple stories like that. I've got a story of keeping like loads of liquor, like maybe 100 quid worth of liquor, spirits, cider, beer, for Christmas parties in a shed in the front garden. And on Christmas Eve night, people breaking into the front garden to steal liquor out of that shed, right? So look, I've been stolen from before, growing up. You'd never expect it from a place like this. And so yeah, basically that's the story, and it's just fucking annoying. It's not that bad, really. It's not like someone made off with a bunch of TVs and all that shit. Stuff was the main house was locked away. The conservatory with more stuff and all that is locked away. It's all, but it's just that fucking thing of basically some people must have driven past it, must have seen the waste pile, thought, oh, I'm going to go dump a bunch of my shit there, dumped it, and then decided, well, it's the middle of the night, I'm already snooping around at these people's fucking house, let's go see if it's unlocked, because they're not there. And someone tried to get in, do you know what I mean? And they clearly opened the first door. And can I just say, some of the shit that they stole It's like, why do you even want that? Why do you even want that? Just fucking and it's a weird thing. It kind of feels like a first world problem in a way, because it's like, it's not that bad, I guess, so I should just get over it. There's a part of me that's like, just get over it. But there's another part of me that's just fucking indignant, like, and just feels like, this is the word for it, right? Talking about hysterical language. It feels like weirdly, like, violating. It's like, oh, fuck these people, like, there's honestly something really fucking... I love the way that guy looks with his cloak there. Or looked for a second. It just feels horrible, man. So, guys, if people have nicked shit from you, if people have stolen from you, if people were snooped around in your shit at your house, wandered around your stuff, and to do it to people that have just gone through a fucking house getting burned down. Oh, fucking scum, man. Like, that's all it is. It's just scum. Can you just... yeah, give me your stories. I'd love to hear them. I'm going to miss a bunch of them in the live chat as they fly past. So drop them in the comments. Give me some therapy. What did I say? WP doesn't like therapy talk in his video games, but he'll get it from his community. Anyway, so yeah, there was basically that to deal with. There was also the fact that there was more shit in the attic that needed to be moved today. So... yeah, so anyway, I'm back now, and we're recording. Off with their hands. I mean, I don't believe in that, but... Holidays are famous days for robbery. Oh, what, because of the Christmas thing? Yeah, it's mental, isn't it, really? World's largest iPod with the $5. There you go. That goes a little bit... Well, it doesn't actually. That goes towards the Guild Wars 3 PC. Thank you very much. They got some kind of a quote here from George Seville. I don't know who that is. Men are not hanged for stealing horses, but the horses may not be stolen. So there's a little quote for our Bartletts there. What do we mean by this? What do we mean by that quote? If horses could be stolen, they would be hung? But where does that lead us? You went to the gym, you locked your bike, it was gone, and you was done. I have a story about a family member who was going out with someone, and that someone left their motorbike at my family member's property. And then left, went out, it was years ago, went out to work or to college or something. And when they got home, it had been stolen, and they blamed my family member. Again, that was a rough area that they were living in. Blamed my family member for it. Did they steal my Bang R Ruin Bringer body pillow? No, thankfully. I also have salvaged that. That one also smells of smoke, but no. How will I sleep without Bang R Ruin Bringer? No. I absolutely need that. So I've kept him close to my chest. I would say look for people that are hoarding. Yeah, I kind of thought there was a bit of a weird theme there. There's some of the shit they took. It's like, why the fuck do you want that? There's no fucking way you want that you need that. There's no way. There's no fucking way. And it's big and it's bulky and you would need other things associated with it. And it's like... And also they've got a bunch of random shit to dump at the same time. In the Navy, there is only one thief. Everyone else is just trying to get their stuff back. What does that mean? I don't know what that means either. Banger comfort bringer. Look, Arenanet, this is what you need to be doing here. You need to be selling this kind of merch. Sell the meme merch. I'm sure that there's a big audience of people that will really go for that. Paradox know to do that. They sell like blog body pillows and stuff. Maybe to scrap it. Maybe, but I mean, look, just take the shit from the front garden if you're going to scrap stuff. There's plenty of scrappable things there. I do have a bit of a theory about the responsible parties, and I think it's quite an obvious theory, but I don't want to say it out loud. Maybe way down the line. If somebody reminds me to talk about this next year, I'll give you my theory. People still dog shit to break it down for copper and stuff. Yeah, don't people try and like rip copper out of the walls? Kerry had an interesting idea. This was what Kerry's advice to me, really. She said what we should do is get the extra mattresses and get like a DNA scan from the extra mattresses. Get the DNA off of the extra mattresses, right? Take it to the police. If they've already got a record, boom, you're in, right? And it's an idea. Her dad's a police officer. I'm sure that he's taught her all of these things. Fucking crazy. Oh my god, we had a huge donation there. Mr. Freelander, 55 euros. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. Yeah, look, guys, I'm not that cut up by it, but it is a bit of a shit one. IWP, sorry your stuff got taken. No worries. Thank you for that. That's very kind of you. Long-time viewer and listener of the videos and Guild Wars. Since the Guild Wars 1 launch... Oh, you're a player. I was going to say, I wasn't making videos at that point. And you finally managed to catch me live. You just finished the VOE story so far. Where do you think they'll go with vlogs? It's a great question, isn't it? Will he be the final boss of the expansion? Or will Kuda be the final boss of the expansion? And Vlox will end up being something more of a frenemy? And a persistent character that's hanging around on the wings, like Banger. And we'll get a Vlox body pillow ourselves. I actually think I'd like that idea more. I guess the sort of rote way that they might go through the story is to basically have him lose his mind a bit as he wrestles with Ascension, or he has too big of an idea, whatever he's going to try and do, this rewriting the timeline or whatever, fixing things from the source of the river, then lower down. And, you know, and Isgarin mentioned in the patch, oh, many have tried and he won't be able to do it. He won't be able to do it. So maybe that will happen. It will break his mind, and then we have to put him down like a ravenous dog. I think that's the more obvious way that Arenanet might go with it. But I'm really enjoying the story at the moment, and the Kuda wildcard element is a lot of fun too. Will he split the timeline and create to Guild Wars 3? Well, that's been a big topic over this series so far. It's been a big topic. WP's going to go into a pro-Brexit tirade. I've never been on a pro-Brexit tirade. Not once. You will never see me being pro-Brexit. I was ardently Remain. And I don't even accept the defense of, oh, but I was lied to. Oh, were you diddums? Were you too fucking stupid to see the obvious lies? But the bus! Fuck the bus! The bus was obvious bullshit! Do you have more than 2 brain cells? Rub them together. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse that I was lied to. I was manipulated by politicians. No, you're a dumb fuck and willingly ignorant. I've got no time for you. None. No mercy. Fuck you. That's my feelings on that. Let's be nice and let's talk about Guild Wars 2 for a second here. I have an interesting post for you all. Look at this. That is a screenshot from my phone. It's not really a comment from you guys, but it was an interesting thing that I saw while I was browsing Reddit in bed last night. And, oh my god, look, the boat is moving. I love this shit, man. Straits was cool. More of this in Guild Wars 3. There was a thread, you guys may have read it, if you're on Reddit far too much, like myself. The question was, what universally praised video game masterpiece is actually crap? And like the top response was Morrowind, which I think is very deserved. It is very clunky these days. It's not as magical, really, when you go back to it. Anyway, the topic of MMOs came up in this thread, and I thought this was quite interesting. If I were a Guild Wars 3 designer, I'd be thinking about stuff like this. If I was at Arenanet and interested in dynamic, emergent worlds and emergent stories, and the social aspect of an MMO. So can I just to lay it out on the line, right? Live service games, regular games with significant MMO online components. They've all kind of muscled in the idea of what an MMO is. What's the point of an MMO anymore in these days, right? The genre has kind of lost some of its secret sauce because so much of what it was good at and what it was needed for is just done in other games now. So if you're Arenanet and you're trying to make an MMO, you're looking for reasons to justify that tag, MMO. Why as an MMO? And I think one of the answers to that is really utilizing the social side of the game and using the online component as much as possible, creating meaningful, cooperative, and emergent experiences. And you're trying to create a dynamic living world, right? Like, that's a real MMO. That's the dream, surely. That's something I think Arenanet will look into. I think it's very in line with some of their ideas over the years. Depends how brave they're feeling, I guess. But anyway, with all of that in mind, back to this thread. What praise video game masterpiece is actually not very good. And there was a comment in there of someone saying, Eve. I hated Eve. Eve Online sucks. Eve is an awful game. It just felt like having a second job. It literally felt like work. Why would anyone play Eve? People call it a masterpiece, but Eve sucks. To which, finally, here we go. Infinite Gurgle defends Eve's honor and says Eve's ability to be an MMO with true emergent gameplay is unparalleled. Eve as an MMO is actually 50 years ahead of its time. Like, people talk about that World of Warcraft funeral for that one player like it was this huge, rare, emergent gameplay event. 50 of those level of events are happening every day in Eve. It's nuts. I hope another MMO figures out the formula someday. Now, I'm not an Eve player, guys. WoodenPotatoes is not an Eve player. I've never played it. I don't know anything about it, really, except its theme and, yeah, its spreadsheet thing. As for the WoW example, I had heard about, not the funeral thing. I don't really know what that is. But I'd heard about when a bug happened in the early days where it created some kind of plague and it was supposed to just be in a raid. But someone teleported out of the raid and the plague started spreading around the open world. And it actually was, like, killing people. That's quite an interesting story. That's a good emergent story, right? That's the kind of thing, a dynamic, living idea that I think Arenanet can see the beauty behind. But the question is, how do you make an MMO that actually, like, facilitates and creates that truly emergently? So another guy wants to back up this dude. He says, forfeit game. Eve is neat because there have been books written about the conflicts that were able to arise from the game's player dynamics. Books written about Eve? And another guy says, yeah, Eve is a fantastic game to read articles about. I have tried to play it, and I just can't. A big part of playing Eve was getting into one of the large alliances in player-owned space. The battles were fun in a similar way to going to a sports game. It's way more fun if you're invested, even if your cheering doesn't do much. And this guy, I cut his message off, but finally the original guy comes back and he says exactly, no one's writing a book about FF14 guilds clearing raids. Now, I have a friend who's very into 14 and he watches the races when the ultimates come out and he watches the WoW races and he does get pretty excited and it's quite sports-like. But he's very, like, Twitch coded and very, like, into that stuff. I don't know how many of us are that. I mean, I'm sure we have a high number of us out there that are. But, yeah, I think I just wanted to... This just got me thinking, and it got me imaginative myself and wondering what Arenanet will do. If they're happy for Guild Wars 3 to be a very different game to Guild Wars 2 and 1, but they're building on the things they cared about. A dynamic game and an emergent game is something they really cared about with Guild Wars 2. And it just got me thinking, I wonder whether Guild Wars 3 will tackle some of these ideas and we'll try to go for it. That's the holy grail, isn't it? An emergent, beautiful, truly dynamic world, but that doesn't feel like spreadsheets, right? I think in order to have a game like that and a world like that, there's got to be some friction baked in. We're back to that old chestnut. But I don't know. I just wanted to platform that on the show. I just thought that would be an interesting thing to throw into Guild Wars 3 Daily while I was still happy and not miserable. Do you know what annoys me about just getting robbed. It's just that thing of thinking that you're in a nice place and there's nice people around. And then realizing, no, you can't trust anyone. And it really is. It's just that deterioration of like a high trust society or whatever. Anyway, yeah, so just wanted to throw that out. We had 2 other donations here. Holy fuck! Bro, that's insane. That is like one of the all-time highest donations I have ever seen. Ever. That's completely insane. Everybody give a massive round of applause. Please alt-tab, and please give this guy a thumbs up. Holy shit. Dejko Fan. I'm deadly serious, guys. Real quick. Alt-tab. Give that guy a thumbs up. Dejko Fan says, 8 Thieves. Love me some WP streams. Simple as. Thank you, dude. And he's speaking very proper British there, except it's $200. 200 American dollars. Dude, $200! YouTube doesn't even have a color for that. That's fucking crazy, man. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I want to say, well, that covers it. But that will be going towards the PC. I'm going to make sure everything here just goes back into the show and we get something out of it. Thank you, though. That's so kind of you. That's really, really, really lovely. And yeah, to be clear, guys, I'm not trying to like get donation bait or anything. This is another thing I felt weird about. I'm honest, I'm not that cut up about it. It takes quite a lot to like really, you know. So I'm all right, really. It just sucks. That's all. It's just a bit of a lame story, and it's why I'm not doing potatoes for breakfast today, and instead we're doing it in the evening. But yeah, holy shit, dude. That's very, very kind. Vinny the cleric with £15 just wanted to tip the anti-Brexit F-bomb. Thank you. Oh, is that how you do it? You just swear? And you get political. That's how you do it. You get very political. You put all your abominable opinions out there. You alienate 50% of the audience, but you create so many sound bites. You get some cachet. I see. That explains the current state of Twitch. Haha. Yeah. Thank you for that. We've also got Jack Lee 345 with £25. Jesus, guys, thank you. Oh, none of you have asked a question. We had one question from Mr. Freelander with the Euros there. Thank you to Mr. Freelander. Jack Lee says, 25 to my favourite potato-based Guild Wars content creator. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you. That's a hotly contested category, I'm sure. That's really kind of you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, all hail that pay pig. Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, I love that. You guys all thumb that shit up really hard. That's awesome. That goes to show how many of you are alt-tabbed. And listen, if you guys were driving, if you were in the car or at the gym or something and otherwise distracted, shame on you. You should only be driving. You shouldn't be touching your phone while you're driving. $200 will get you a quarter of a stick of RAM. Hey, that is a quarter of a stick more of RAM than I would have otherwise had. All right, and I think that is still something. I will not look a gift horse in the mouth. We will slowly keep chipping away at it. Buying RAM in the RAM apocalypse. What are we doing here? And by the way, I just want to be clear again. If anyone comes at me with good advice about, hey, maybe it's best to wait a month or two, this new component is coming out, there's probably going to be a price drop or something. If you do genuinely feel in the know and you have advice on how we can stretch this money out, let me know. Because I'm not interested in just wasting everyone's goodwill, let me put it that way. Secube XL with the €5. Thank you very much. But MMOs... So here, onto the topic about Eve. Secube XL says, but MMOs became more and more solo-centric. Arenanet won't dare doing it because MMO players want to play solo. Modern MMOs are doing their gameplay systems to have less of the freedom of old MMOs. I think fundamentally you're right, they are. They're more solo-based. And I like it too. What have I been saying over and over lately? I think that pre-searing was one of the most fun areas of Guild Wars 1. And a huge reason of that is because it was solo duo. Obviously now you've got 4 players there. But there's something so much more tangible about the RPG. Feeling the weight of everything you do, and it's all built around you, and you can explore on your own instead of just having a bunch of fucking party members crowded around all the time, whether they be henchmen, heroes, or even, you know, the tedium of having to find players. But I don't know, do we not believe in some magical world where the fundamental parts of the game can be solo, but there's a huge impact on team play? What are you saying? You can't have a dynamic emergent game unless it's got big guilds and player interactions? That story I just told you about the plague and the bug in WoW wasn't reliant on lots of players coordinating. It was just reliant on a lot of players being there, right? So I don't know. But I think you've got a good point, and I think that Arenanet will continue to focus on the solo-oriented stuff. I don't think they're going to go back on that for Guild Wars 3. It's not going to be a big party-based game filled with heroes and henchmen. I'd be very, very, very doubtful to see that. I've seen some people suggest that Guild Wars 3 is going to bring the companion system back, which is always so weird to me. What do you mean back? It was like a very primitive idea they had that disappeared in even the earliest of blog posts. They started genuinely talking about the game. That was already in the bin. But people talk about it like it was something that got stolen from them. I don't know. I can believe in the companion system for Guild Wars 1. Imagine a modern Guild Wars 1, a Guild Wars Reforged campaign, a new campaign or a new expansion built to be solo duo. And you get one, like, Razza style flexible companion that grows and trains and learns and loves with you as you go. Well, not one. Maybe there's like a choice of 4 or 5, BioWare style or something, right? And you, I don't know. I think there's an interesting idea there. I really do think so. And I think that Guild Wars 1, like from a PvE perspective, kind of becomes less interesting in the moment-to-moment gameplay the more allies are around. From a Buildcraft perspective, obviously it gets better the more players are around because you've got more party bars to customize and stuff. But it's an interesting thought that they could do the companion system in some kind of rejiggered, reforged idea. Of course, none of that has been telegraphed at all by the studio that that's what they want to do. Sounds more like a roguelike-y idea is coming up. And we have Einolf as well with the 20 NOK. Thank you so much, Einolf. Top 3 items that got stolen. I really don't want to go into what got stolen, but I will say it was less that it was loads of things that got stolen. It was more like a couple of things got stolen, but worth money. I'll put it that way. But stuff that could have happened for the previous 11 months. It's just very interesting that as soon as that waste pile... Anyway. Brim. It says, with $20, thank you so much. You've probably been asked this many... You guys have been very generous today. You've probably been asked this many times in your Guild Wars 2 career, but what is your favorite Vista? And I'm wondering if you could take us there. Thanks for your amazing content. Hey, that's really... Oh, my God. Isn't that sweet? That's such a sweet comment. That's such a sweet request. That's the kind of thing people would say in the first week after launch. That's such an innocent, lovely, kind, like, what's my favorite Vista? This is a pretty fucking good Vista. This is like the magic of the game is still alive for you, right? And all the fun little systems and features you just want to share and you're just excited about them. And oh, here you go. This is a good Vista right here. Why? Because it shows the Wizard's Tower. Well, it doesn't anymore since Secrets of the Obscure. Or I think it should. Does it swing the camera around? This was one of my favorite areas of the entire game. I guess it's kind of hard for me to distinguish between a favorite Vista and a Vista showing my favorite place, because they're kind of wound together. Listen, for $20, I'll give you some good. I'll give some good thought to this. I think again, it's like I want to say that the Vista up here at Divinity's Reach is fucking crazy. At the gardens, because it shows the gardens. There's a nice dynamic camera with a lot of movement as well in the actual set, because of the moon moving and shit like that. Wouldn't it be cool if the Orions have a similar thing like this in Guild Wars 3, by the way? I'm trying to think, what's a Vista that's really interesting? Like some good canted angles, or like maybe it flies through really fast, a really fast moving Vista that covers a lot of terrain, or a Vista that maybe like transitions from an exterior to an interior, and you get like a lot of post-processing changes. Maybe we go from the edge of a swamp into a swamp. You know, so like on a technical level, there might be an interesting Vista. A Vista with good sounds, maybe. These are all different parameters you could judge a Vista on. But literally none are springing to my mind. My gut would be to say that some of the new Vistas could do stuff like that, but I don't think they really do. Do they? Has anyone got any ideas, any proposals for this guy? for Bribrim. I want to facilitate people who are just happy and enjoying and talking about novel aspects of the game. All right, that's the shit. You know, there's like a dead and buried version of Wooden Potatoes, like buried 6 foot under, that you've slightly reanimated by asking a question like that. Like you've made like there's a version of me from mid 2012 that just opened his eyes for a brief moment. The LA pirate jumping puzzle Vista's a good one. That is a good one. That's got a fast move in. We track straight into Sharkmoor Caverns. That is a good one. And actually, now that you mention that, they've done that a few times over the years. They have done that in a few positions. By the way, guys, all we're doing today is Q&A. I don't have the energy to do a big thing, a big like spotlight section, and we don't need to do a spotlight section every single episode either. So you'll forgive me, but today is literally just me chatting with you about Guild Wars 3, working on the PC fund, and bitching. I really do mean that, by the way, guys. I would love to hear your stories about when you've been stolen from, or someone's like snuck into your house, or any of that shit. All right, or your garden. Well, gardens are not so bad. All right, I don't want to hear people saying, "Oh my God, some children played Ding Dong Ditch against me once." No, no, no. All right, that's not a real. Here we go. This is good. See, the camera pulls out. There's a bit of good. And we come all the way out, and then we fall into the mouth. I think we do, don't we? Yeah, there we go. Look at that. And it goes fast. That's a cool vista for sure. Grothmar Valley's Blood Keep. Really? The Blood Keep, you think? This one up here? You were stolen from, you tuned into a WP stream and he took my heart. Oh, that's very good. That's good for me, isn't it? What can I do with this heart? Here we go. I'll tell you what, it feels like the textures and the processing and stuff, but it's a lot of work. You can immediately feel the frames shitting themselves. Like, look at this. I'm streaming 20 frames to you. I do not have a bad PC. We built this PC 5 years ago? Surely this patch was out already. Why is the game... And honestly, I don't have the settings high. You have 0 shadows. You have 0 reflections. You have 0 player culling. You do not have best texture filtering on. Or high-res character textures. Some of these are so minor on the performance they don't matter, right? I understand how to get frames out of this fucking game, and look at it. All right, here we go. Look at this. You can see the frames. All right, this one's clearly got good music, good sounds. Lots of movement. It'd be cool if we went up to his office and saw the claw marks from the bone skinner visiting him late at night. It was a repeatable heart. I'm so sorry. We had another donation there. Well, there you go. There's some idea. I wish I had a better answer for you. The other thing that keeps flashing to my mind is the Grove, and I keep thinking of the lifts going up and down, but that's only notable because they're the lifts. That's not actually a vista in the first place. There's a lot of great viewports. There's a lot of beautiful areas and incredible things to see in Guild Wars 2 Tyria. And I hope that Guild Wars 3 Ore has just as much. I hope that Arenanet are still the craftsmen that we saw that they were in 2012. Because now they get to be those craftsmen again. And they get to do it with new modern rendering engines. This one's kind of added to by the statue of Traherne there. After you beat Heart of Thorns, the statue gets added. This one's pretty good, actually, because the pale tree is just incredible. I mean, look at it. And this vista gives you a view of the pale tree that you wouldn't usually see in gameplay. Like, you really have to crank the camera up to look at it. And when you're this far out, you know, very few players will come this far out anyway, because you immediately unlock the waypoint beyond the portal. Like Arenanet were very, very talented with stuff like this. They really were. And the thought that Ore might get shit like this in the third game is very, very exciting. That was a good one. You always love the vista of the flying ship in Frostgorge Sound. The vista of the flying ship in Frostgorge. A flying there's no flying ship. Do you just mean one of the sanctuaries? Did you mean floating? Were we looking at some autocorrect? Oh wow, look at this story here, yeah, from Silver. About 7 years ago, I was renting a house. Then the person who was renting to me showed up, called the police on me for trespassing, and proceeded to steal everything we had managed to move in. Holy shit, that's awful. Okay, that's a real story right there. That is fucking terrible. I'm a bit of a cynic. You definitely were renting, right? That's crazy. Well, did you get compensated for that in the end? What happened there? Your parents' back door was kicked in. Oh my god, look, everyone's getting in there with their stories. We're getting a bit of therapy, a bit of theft therapy going on here, guys. Your parents' back door was kicked in. They stole all of your mum's jewelry when I was young. My sister was 7 and came home from school and found the door on the ground. If they had done it later, she may have run into the thieves, so that's scary. Yeah, that is scary. That is very scary. Let's not forget, during an episode... Actually, it wasn't during an episode of Visual Wood, but this was really weird. Me and Matt used to do Visual Wood every Friday or something. I can't remember what the day was. But just one Friday, we happened to not do it. I don't know. It was probably me flaking out for one reason or another. So we didn't do it. And during the time when we were recording Visual Wood, he was up. We would have been. He was up in his bedroom. And he heard people break into his house. His story is crazy. They broke into his house while he was still in there. And he was terrified, obviously. He, again, was living in a rough neighborhood at the time. He hid in a closet. He hid in a walk-in closet behind his clothes while people, like a gang of people, broke into his house, stole his shit. I can't remember what they stole. I think they stole his TV and maybe his PlayStation and stuff. I feel bad. I can't remember what they stole. But when he went downstairs, he found toys on the table. He found like stuff downstairs, and I say toys, but what they were toy guns. And what had actually happened was these people had broken in, fully expecting to see someone living there, and if Matt had been downstairs, they would have threatened him with a gunpoint. And of course, this is America, where you have to take that shit seriously, even though they're just toys. And no one's going to check. So these people had been doing this. They knew that they could mug people and commit burglaries and stuff with toy guns because no one's going to risk their lives. And then obviously because they'd ran out of the house with TVs and stuff, they had dropped their toy guns on the floor as they'd left. And Matt came on the podcast the next week, and it was a complete coincidence that we just happened to not be recording. And he told that story. That's a good episode of Visual Wood. You guys should go check it out. He told all about that story. It was it really rocked me, and it showed me another thing. Like, I'm very, I've never hidden away from the fact that I'm a big believer in gun control, and I think fucked up stuff like that is a very good reason why this shit needs to be regulated, like, hard. But, and I don't blame Matt for this at all, and this was his takeaway from it, but his entire response to that was, well, I need a gun. I need a gun to defend myself. I need a gun to defend my family. I need a gun so that if someone puts one in my face, I can put one in theirs. And if they only have a toy, then they know that they can't call my bluff. Which is a completely rational way for him to respond to that situation. And I think over the next few episodes, he told a story or two about buying the gun. I don't know if he still owns firearms or anything like that. But it just goes to show, you create an environment, you create a country, you create a situation like that, and it's just going to self-perpetuate. It's just reasonable people are going to be pushed into getting their own firearms to defend themselves. And then it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse. And unless an adult steps into the room and fucking puts a stopper on it, it gets very difficult to change. Unless, of course, you're Australia. Massive shout out to the big dicks out there in Australia that had like a school shooting or something, and they said, fuck it, no, we're dealing with this right now. And they said, fuck the gun lobby, fuck the money in this, fuck all of you, this shit's banned, and they just took everyone's guns. They just fucking did it. The entire country melted them all down, put their big dicks on the table and said, have it. And oh look, they solved their problems. Round of applause. Anyway, yeah. All right, next question. It's from the Deep Winter. It's another donation there. Thank you so much for contributing to the PC Fund, the Deep Winter, $20. I 100% agree on Friction. There was an MMO called Wish. There were a dozen starting towns. There was a goblin raid that killed half of our town's NPCs. So we had to form convoys to access services in other towns and to trade. It's an A+ memory. That's very cool. That's very... but you know what that makes me think of, though? Again, right? Like, maybe you're right about Friction and stuff there. But you know what? Do you know what one of the best games I've played of recent years is? Is a game called V Rising. Vampire-based game. So fucking fun. It's not an MMO. But you can go and play, like, one of the PvP servers on there. And you can have exactly that experience, right? You can play Rust and have experiences very close to that. You can play Ark Survival Evolved and have experiences close to that, right? Friction high experiences where conflict against other players is baked in, but incredibly powerful collaborative community experiences can happen as well. And it's just there's this weird thing where I think a lot of us as consumers, we're really fretful about, ooh, a PvP game, there's no way I'll play it. So you just never play those games, and you don't realize the camaraderie that comes out of those games and the emergent story that can come out of those games as well. And so anyway, when it goes to Guild Wars 3 and Arenanet, well, you know, let's be honest, they're not going to make a PvP only MMO or a PvP heavy MMO or anything like that. Maybe, but I still think they would silo those features into their own areas, like a Neo World versus World or a Neo PvP or something. I think Arenanet very much is more into the idea of killing all the friction and killing all the fear and making everything as friendly as possible. And that also does distill the experience we get at the end, as far as I can see. Unless they really go over to the drawing board and try and find a nice middle ground, which maybe they can do too, and I think that would be very exciting. And I mean, talk about a dream job. Again, like I say, imagine being paid to just work on that problem and just to think about shit like that. It's very cool. But yeah, what you mentioning that just makes me think again of what do we need MMOs for when there are so many games that can provide those experiences. Man, my fucking wrist is so itchy under my Fitbit at the moment. I don't know why. I'm swapping wrists. All right, let's get on to some more. We've only done one comment that I've prepared for you guys. Let's get on to the next. Again, this is from my phone. This is while I was browsing Reddit. It's a little bit about the Reforged discussion that we did yesterday. I was really nervous about my review of Ray of Judgment getting a shorter cast time, Summon Flesh Golem getting a shorter cast time, and especially Mighty Throw getting a shorter cast time. I was nervous about that. You got to understand, guys, I've spent years of rebelling against shit like that in Guild Wars 2. As Arenanet lower, especially with recharge rates. Oh no, we don't want big, impactful elite skills. We want them to be kind of middle of the road, but you have high access to them. And I always thought that sort of killed the fun. And so what would happen over and over, 15 years, here's what's happened. Arenanet does a patch where they, like, kill the efficacy of a skill, but then they're like, oh, look, here's a patch, we're buffing it. We're dropping the cooldown from 30 seconds to 10 seconds. And everyone just goes, yay, buffs, yay. And then I'll go online and I'll be a miser about it. And I'll say, oh, isn't this homogenizing things in a way that we don't have to homogenize them? Doesn't this kill it a little bit? And people would always snap at me. Always like, no, that's a bad idea. Long cooldowns suck. I want buffs. I don't want nerfs. And they just look at it as nerfs and buffs, and they don't look at, like, game flow or anything like that. So I'm very, very nervous always with a lot of topics now. I'm just sort of conditioned by this shit to be like, people won't accept it. So I was nervous about all that shit I was saying about Mighty Throw. But it does appear that I'm not alone with this. A lot of you guys have come out and said, no, it sort of sucks. Here, just completely unrelated to my video, just over in the Guild Wars 1 subreddit. Only 19 upvotes, by the way. I really hope that the hype hasn't passed. They had a thread there yesterday of someone said, hey, I just saw WoodenPotatoes' interview. it seems like the devs are building up to something. This seems really exciting. Is the hype still there? And in the comments, people were saying, I don't know, it felt like there was more hype just before Christmas. And that's true, but hopefully we're not completely over it. I also had a comment from someone, by the way, complete tangent here. I had a comment from someone who was like furious with me, really angry at WoodenPotatoes, saying, how exactly did he phrase it? I'm paraphrasing here. But they were like, I'm so mad at you for putting down the game, Reforged. When they announced Reforged, you weren't excited about it. Blah, 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 blah. And like really furious with me. And they were annoyed now that I was excited. And look, to that, and I haven't got the comment here. But to that, I just want to be very clear, guys. You shouldn't be excited until you see the fruits of their labor, right? What they said, when Reforged was announced, they were abundantly clear it was not a full-blown remaster, and yet people were acting like it was. They had not committed to balance patches, and yet people were acting like they were. And they had not committed to new content yet, and yet people were acting like they were, right? They were big ideas and big topics that Arenanet had given us basically nothing on. Arenanet had been quite vague about it. And I'm a believer in not running away with the ball. Just because over the next 6 months we beautifully have seen some of those things have come true. We've seen amazing balance now, and we've seen a lot of these things. That's great, but that doesn't mean that in the initial instance everyone was justified in running away with the hype. I still completely stand by my reaction to that. I don't believe in overhyping people. I don't believe in conning people into reinstalling Guild Wars 1, suggesting it's a remaster just to get a couple of YouTube clicks, and then watching them all flood out because they've been disappointed by and, you know, oversold. I'm not going to oversell it. I'm going to wait for Arenanet to actually do the things that or to say at least that they're going to do certain things, and then we can talk about it. And we can applaud it when it happens. And I'm completely happy to have acted the way that I have acted. I'm excited now, and I'm applauding it now because that's what they've done. It was jumping the gun to wank ourselves silly about Reforged with that original announcement. And if people are salty about the fact that I held back the hype a bit there, and I wasn't like completely on team, yeah, let's go fucking crazy about Guild Wars 1, then I'm completely fine with that. I think people who did do that were doing it to get clicks out of you. They were all capsing their titles, and they were putting the fucking thumbnails and all that shit out there just to convince you that the game was going to be better than they really knew it was ever going to be. I looked at what Arenanet said, and I gave you a response that was proportional to what they said. Which, by the way, isn't a bad thing, because I think they themselves are scared of overhyping people too. They themselves know the damage behind overhyping their communities, alright? And that is the way I acted, that's the way I'll continue to act. Right, I'm sorry, all the high horsing. Let's talk about Mighty Throw here. 19 upvotes. Let's hope the hype is still there. I'd rather share my feelings about that skill. There is Wearying Spear, which is now completely outclassed by this skill buff. It's outclassed by a skill that was strong, but got its major downside, the cast time, removed. Why would I weaken myself for 5 seconds, requiring 50% more adrenaline, and attacking more slowly than Mighty Throw does now? And the animation wasn't reworked either. It looks totally stupid having my character going through this usually awesome animation in 1 second. With its low cost and abundance, it also hinders the build up of adrenaline for higher cost skills. Unless they buffed it, I considered it as a starter or maybe an ender. Now, it's just a spam skill. And what he doesn't note there is we have lots of spam skills. We have lots of bread and butter quick skills there that you can throw out. I think and one of my favorites is Barbed Spear, by the way. That old Barbed Spear PvP build where you could play Ranger / Paragon and you kept bleeding them while the pet fucking ravaged them. That shit was amazing in Team Arenas. I think it goes to show that the team at 2 weeks or Arenanet is buffing skills either based on statistical or empirical usage, but in a vacuum without looking at the other skills. This, or they have great plans but restrict themselves to like 10 skills a patch. I'm not the biggest of fans, but I use it in my new build, despite the negatives. And Kinetic Movement says, yeah, it's a bit mind-boggling how this made it into production. My eyes popped when I was skimming the notes. This and spirits being summoned quickly in PvP are real head scratchers. So I have to say, I was actually, guys, I was a bit insecure about some of my responses with Guild Wars 1 because, you know, I'm a bit washed with Guild Wars 1. I haven't, at the moment, like, I really have to play it a lot. I have to get that Reforged playthrough going to remember and really get a sense of what I feel about all the skills. But it feels like we're not alone to think maybe that was a bit of an iffy change. I'd love to see they put the cast times back on those skills, but in exchange buff them in other ways. Auto crit below 33% health, or for Flesh Golem, give it higher level scaling, stuff like that. Make it bigger. Come on, 2 weeks, that's fun. Everyone likes Flesh Golem because it's big, right? The more levels you give it, the bigger it will be. Oh my god, you guys are doing a lot of donations here. It's really difficult to get to the regular comments today. Holy shit. Kitabake, could you read the river books in Eternity's Garden south of the starting waypoint? Both are in the tent. I think I have to do the hearts to unlock those books. Those are related to Vlox, right? Well, you've given a donation, and it's a reason to do some actual gameplay. So yeah, fuck it, go on in. So you want to go to Eternity's Garden in Castora. Whoopsie, Jesus Christ. You said the starting waypoint of Foothold Bivouac. I don't think they become available until I've repeatedly done the heart, and I've barely touched the map since the Let's Play. I've barely touched it. Let's wait for all the assets to rendering. I'll skip to the next donation before then. Thank you for the 25 PLN. Moo Reaper with the 20 bucks. Thank you very much. Moo Reaper says, thanks for the content over the years. I'm sorry to hear about your situation. No worries, man. No worries. What's one design choice that you think is most important for Arenanet to take from Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 into Guild Wars 3? I think there can only be one answer to that. If there's one thing that defines this franchise that both players of the first and the second game are looking for, whether you're a world versus world player or a raider or a PV or a GVGer from Guild Wars 1 or a speed clearer from Guild Wars 1 or even just casually playing through the story in Guild Wars 2, right? What unites all of these? What is the de facto headline thing that everyone is in this boat for? I think it's Buildcraft. Right? And I think they've de-emphasized huge aspects of the Buildcraft in Guild Wars 2 over the years. But it is still a fundamental thing that I think we all like and love in this franchise. Maybe not all of us, obviously. That's a bit sweeping. Have I gone to the right place? I haven't, have I? We're going to Eternity's Garden, and this character hasn't ever actually been to Eternity's Garden. Yeah, like, Liz hasn't ever been there. Who did I play this patch on? Was it Ritualist? Did I play on Ritualist? No, I think we played on Rev, didn't we? Because weren't we feeling weird that we weren't an Asura? Yeah, I think it's got to be Buildcraft. So if that's what you consider a design choice. If it's not that, it's respecting players' time. For all that we've been talking about that and looking for maybe a shake-up. I think that's also a big headline, isn't it? No matter what way you cut it. Respecting people's time is kind of... So they're probably jockeying, they're jostling, what's the word I want to use? For top position. So like Wolfie808 in live chat says class identity / Buildcraft for sure. But also I don't know whether that... Like that's... We just kind of look for that in RPGs. Why is Ritlock kneeling down? That's interesting. Commander, Tribune. I like that. So that's medication. That's not a book. You want to go directly south of the waypoint, right? That would be that tent, wouldn't it? I think that's fair to call that that. And I think books do become available. Again, look at this, guys. Look at this fucking 30 frames. And I have read a book here. Like this, perhaps. Warning, Peculiar Inquest Experiments. Nah, that's just about the Tyrian Alliance. Yeah, so I don't know. If you want to give me more direction, then that's fine. I'll look, but I might need to do the heart more. And we will do some spotlights on that, by the way. As Guild Wars 3 Daily goes along, the spotlight sections will start covering VOE again, and They'll finish off the Reforged stuff. I had an angry comment of someone upset that we haven't got back to the Reforged yet. We will, I promise. There's just a lot to talk about at the moment. There's a lot that's on my mind. There's a lot that the community's going back and forth from. We are working our way there, guys. It's a good thing to have too much to talk about. It's a very good thing. It's a privilege that over 15 years I very rarely have. Crafting is required on any MMO. So here's an interesting idea with the crafting. Crafting is required on any MMO because it's a fundamental gold sink to control the economy. Ignoring this fact results in bad economies, otherwise the prices of things fly like a rocket. That's an interesting point. I didn't talk about that in the crafting discussion before, that they are useful as gold sinks. And that's effectively what they are. I don't know at the same time, though, whether I agree you need sophisticated crafting systems. There are other ways of providing gold sinks. The TP tax is probably Guild Wars 2's biggest gold sink. It has nothing to do with crafting. People can trade items without crafting systems being layered on top, right? The waypoint tax could also, if that was dynamically implemented, right, and was a floating value based on whatever mechanism Arenanet likes, a bit like how gold to gems and gems to gold floats and changes, right? If they had done that for waypoint fees, then that would have been a brilliant tax, and that would have helped control gold inflation as well over the years. And people would have grumbled about it, and there would have been some, you know, general animosity about it. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of us would have just sucked it up, and Arenanet that could have just been accepted. But instead, they made it this static thing that quickly fell out of space. And by the way, if they had continued having waypoints be more aggressive because they float and they adapt, if they had done that, then that would have opened them up for more space for rewards. Items that halve waypoint fees for the next 24 hours, you know, boosters that do that, that then can be sold in the gem store, free weekends that tap into that, or special events that tap into that. These are all levers they could have been pulling if they had kept the waypoint fees. They pulled the lever once with the voting for Ellen Keel or Evan Nashblade. That was the one time they pulled the waypoint lever, right? So I don't know whether I agree you need crafting systems to keep the economy at bay. I think there's actually a lot of ways you can do it. And Guild Wars 1, by the way, Guild Wars 1 is also remarkably aggressive with its gold sinks. They're badly designed because they hit the new players harder than the old players, but it's actually very expensive to set to, like, even just that platinum cost for every new skill you buy. It's expensive, man. For a new player, it takes a long time to get those skills. It's pricey. And then getting all your armor, and then gaining armor for different attribute lines, and then getting weapons and, you know, high energy sets and shield sets, especially if you're going to go to PvP, those things are more important. And then gearing out all your heroes. And especially if you're going to do it like Meta Monkey style and get all Prodigy insignias and stuff. It's expensive. All those costs disappear. They're not ongoing costs for later players, which is a problem. But, you know, they have the traders in there, the NPC traders, and they charge more. They're like balanced to take a bit of money out, right? Anyway, yeah, it's an interesting element to the crafting thing. Okay, here we go. He's on it. He whispered me. He said he's on it in Eternity's Garden. I cannot right-click join him, which means he's on EU and I'm on NA. So my TP to a friend won't work either, as far as I'm aware. I think this will throw up an error. Yeah, I can't teleport to you. You're in the other region. And I don't see your blue dot because you're in the other region. So I still don't know where you are. Is it that important that we rush into it now? I mean, again, I will be reading all of the... If there's any lore I've missed, there's plenty of lore that I would have missed from this patch. Alright, let's go to the next one. We're on 4 out of 15 here, guys. Jesus Christ. So here's a little bit more about the monetization discussion. I'm going to keep talking about this because I think it's really interesting. Awesome to Borsome says, Sean seems to conveniently forget. Guys, by the way, we're in nearly 2 grand. We're nearly 2/3 of the way to there. He says you can skip it. It's on small hearts. Get on with the stream. All right, we will do it. I promise we will do it, but it may just be a few days, weeks down the line. Does that sound fair? And thank you again. I appreciate it. It's probably really fun and it's really cool to read. Don't get me wrong. It probably is. Right, so Sean was a big defender of the idea of sub fees, respecting players. His argument was that Arenanet are talking about tackling player problems and that you can't really stop it because adding player problems is fundamental to your business model. You're going to limit their storage, you're going to limit things so that people have to pay to get around it. A sub fee can completely ignore all of that and just say you're paying a fee, so all of the design we put in our game is purely for your benefit. That was Sean's talking point. And Sean loved RuneScape and said it was done well. Awesome Awesome strikes back and says, Sean seems to conveniently forget that old school RuneScape has a sub fee and a means to convert real world money into in-game gold. Actually, he didn't forget that, and he talked about that. He talked openly about it, didn't he, in one of his comments? And we highlighted it. He described it as some kind of token system that was also fair as far as he was concerned. I don't really know. But isn't it... You can pay for your sub with in-game gold. Like, if you have no IRL money, you can still get a RuneScape sub, right? Because you can farm for it in-game and then buy the tokens off of other players. He described it in quite a fair and equitable way, I thought. Anyway, Awesome thinks that he didn't talk about it at all. He says, hilarious to see, by the way, that multiple people on multiple sides of the debate can just write these big sweeping arguments, and they do leave out important nuances in order to support their own case. Wow, look, that's the nature of the beast, talking about stuff on the internet, isn't it? Yeah. That's just how it goes. And I'm sure I'm guilty of that all the fucking time. There's, especially when it's off-the-cuff commentary. There's also no proof which monetization way is better for the game, by the way. Something which is also claimed by several people. What, do people prove it, really? Claim proof? I'd hoped the quality in the discussion would be a bit better, but here we are. Oh, side note, that's why I'm interested in your commentary, WP, and you shouldn't just read out comments. I have to sit through enough half-baked points, so at least I'd like to get some commentary from you on it, even if I don't always agree. Well, look, I think I do respond to every comment I put on the show, but I'm not going to be any better. A lot of the time, I'm out of my wheelhouse, right? And I'm going to say ignorant shit. Let's all be clear, okay? Yeah, I would love this to be a fucking highly enlightened Zen-like show. The reality, guys, is not. But I thought the quality of conversation's been alright. I don't know. You only get so many words in a YouTube comment. The hard thing is, a lot of people drop big YouTube comments and the fucking website will just delete their messages. Huge amounts of people just get their shit just thrown into like, unless and I'm sorry to say that I'm very bad at this, unless I actively go to like the filtered bin and dig people's comments out and manually approve them, huge amounts of comments, if they're too long, just get culled. Or like you'll just use a word in the slightly wrong way and it doesn't know what to do. It's so bad, man. So it's very hard to like... But I think we do all right, don't we? All right, let's move on here. Yeah, we're all very enlightened, guys. Jamie17 says, while you were talking about mega servers, my mind immediately went to End of Dragons. You can't tell me that on the first few days after launch, dynamic events fail because there aren't enough people around. Like, why? Is nobody playing this? Why am I, alongside one or two other players, the only one in this area? Surely the game is more popular than that. Is literally everyone rushing ahead? And it must be because of the mega server settings. Maybe it is set too low. Like, I remember watching your End of Dragons playthrough, WP. Best one yet, by the way. Great work. Really? I remember that being a precarious LP. I remember that being a very tricky LP. Because there was so much, like, IRL social commentary that people were so fucking, like, hair trigger about. And you were complaining about the same thing. Dynamic events should not fail when a new expansion is just released. How'd they fix that? I'm not sure, but it's something I was thinking about and I got frustrated about back then. Yeah, I hope Guild Wars 3 doesn't fall into this problem, and that was a definite issue with End of Dragons. I remember End of Dragons release, and it felt like dead. Like, not just the first map, all the maps. Now, by the way, I didn't see events failing at launch End of Dragons. In fact, I saw them succeeding all the time. And I think that's the crucial point. I think my theory about this, I don't know this. My theory is that at some point, and I think they did this earlier than End of Dragons, to tell you the truth, But the End of Dragons was a big moment because there was a huge gap between POF and End of Dragons, right? When Guild Wars 2 launched, when several Living World maps launched, when Heart of Thorns launched, when POF launched, all of them had problems where shit would bug and could never be fixed. Like, I remember trying to get map comp at launch, and I remember there was a particular... It's so weird. I can remember it's here. It's definitely this. This hero challenge down here in the Straits of Devastation in the corner of... This is just an example. When trying to do map comp at launch Guild Wars 2 was very, very, very tricky because so many hero challenges were bugging. POIs couldn't really bug, right? Unless they were behind events. They were locked in rooms that events were required to get, right? Like, you know, maybe in Dredgehorn, you know, the mini dungeon in Dredgehorn or whatever. But hero challenges were a serious problem. This is a good example of one. This guy right here, what would happen is a Zerg would come to this. They would kill it the once, and now that was it. It would be bugged. That would be it. It would be done. So if you weren't there right when the patch landed, you missed this hero challenge. And there were just constant bugs like that. Dynamic events would bug and stall. Meta events would bug and stall. Huge swathes of what's supposed to be exciting and fun about the game were just dying. And it's because Arenanet couldn't internally test them. The alphas couldn't fish this stuff out. The betas didn't run across all the maps. They only ran across the early game maps. And so what my theory about End of Dragons is what Arenanet did was they said, okay, we're going to... Internally, we can only test up to a certain amount of players. We can only test up to a certain number of people running around on these maps. So we're just going to pull it back in. We're not going to let 150 people run around on these maps, generally speaking. We're not going to match make them in. We're going to make sure that there's only 20 to 30 people in Saitang Harbor, or 40 to 50, or 50 to 60. I don't know what the number is. And the result was they felt dead. But what that also meant was they could spin down mega servers really quickly. They could close maps and reopen them, and close them and reopen them. And it's a way around issues like that. So actually, I would say End of Dragons stuff wasn't failing. Stuff was pretty good. And it was insulated against failing. But, except obviously with the final event where it would fail because of difficulty. And by the way, can I just point out, the studio showed some real grit at that point, and they held on to the difficulty for the End of Dragons meta. And I think they made the right choice there, and that was them openly embracing friction. That was a risky move, but I have quite a lot of respect for the team at that point, because they left it. So anyway, for GW3, I don't know, I guess similar conversation. What I do think Guild Wars 2 is terrible at to this day, and I hope Guild Wars 3 doesn't do this. I really hope it doesn't do this. I'd like to see Mega Servers 2.0, because here is the worst thing. Ready? We go to a new expansion map. Now, I'm just going to chill here for a minute. And very, very quickly, you will probably see the pop-up saying there's no players on the map. Do you want to move? That pop-up is terrible. It gives the impression that the game's dead, that it's low population, this, that, and the other thing. And they really need to at least rephrase that so that new players don't get encouraged to think that there's no one playing the goddamn game. We had another donation, €5. Don't mind me, just joining the Micro Dono squad. Thank you for the Micro Dono. Our usual Micro Donoer is Rocker with the €2, and you've blown him out of the water there. Thank you very much. Right, okay. Let's move on. Mega servers and Guild Wars 3. It's a definite topic. Curious to see what Arenanet will do. Aegor of Karim. You know, the server meshing thing was an exciting thought, wasn't it? I've been so this is a bit of a review about some of these new Marshall builds and the new Paragon stuff, and this just sounds amazing, guys. Listen to this guy's testimony right here. I've been running a physical team with 4 bow rangers, 2 Paragons, plus a caster backline for a long while now on my Guaming Ranger, and the Paragon buffs this patch are absolutely amazing. Bow attacks like spamming, penetrating, and sundering attack get very energy heavy, even with zealous bows and good expertise. Yeah, and heroes especially. Sometimes the hero AI just you put the wrong skill on their bar and they just nuke their energy forever. As do monk prots, even on a necro hero. So my new battery is the power of yours, motivation paragon with energizing finale. Lots of shouts across the party. Both skills got a huge buff. The team was already working well before, but it's really going to go ham now. I hadn't even bothered with Zealous Anthem before because the cooldown was too long to make a big impact, but now it feels worth a slot. And the buffs to motivation healing across these past patches is going to make the team feel genuinely stable and excellent. I am super happy with these balance changes. Wow, that's so cool. Dude, I lived so vicariously through you there, reading that. That's amazing. I kind of want to go try it out as well. It's always kind of tricky to know how much to trust people, because, I mean, he's saying he's going for Guam, but is he still just in normal mode? But let's hope that there's something there. That's very fun. I bet PVX Wiki is a fun place to go to at the moment in the discussion pages. Really cool. Oh, that pop-up is wild. You've got it at the end of a successful Dragon's End meta before surrounded by players claiming loot. Yeah, it's a ridiculous pop-up. Sasha the Blendette says, thank God there's a level 80 boost for all your 7 million characters. And I see all these YouTubers and all these content creators who come from other games say... Oh, sorry. Let me reread that. I read that wrong. All I see these YouTubers and creators who come from other games say is... I gave Guild Wars 2 a chance, and I quit after 5 hours. Corteria is boring. Leveling is boring. Story is boring. It doesn't grab their attention, and people quit prematurely. If they feel like Heart of Thorns maps, or if they feel Heart of Thorns maps or large meta events, they might stay. I think you're completely wrong here. Leveling core game doesn't work in 2026. They won't, as you say, stay longer. They quit way too fast. Like, I'm totally open to being wrong about this because I don't have the stats. I don't know. Maybe you're right. And again, we have to accept the fact that all these big studios like Destiny, right? They all seem to think that, yeah, the early game shit doesn't matter. You can rip it out. Rip out the, what was it called? The Red War. Rip out Living World Season 1. Really, you know, just fucking give people the level 80 boost. That's what the studios see through their stats. Maybe you're right. And maybe all those people like myself who are upset about that, we're just fans that have already been captured that are more disappointed than we really should be. I don't know. I don't know. You might be right. I could be completely wrong. One thing I will say, going just to your first idea, all these other YouTubers, they come from other games. They say, I gave it a chance and I quit after 5 hours. I think there's something quite big going on with this. And it kind of relates, again, like I said, I've been watching this guy, Jason Schreier's YouTube channel that he's created. And he does business analyzation and discussion about the games industry. And he was talking about the idea of games as a service. And what a jackpot they are, basically, for studios. And how amazing it is to get a game as a service. And that's why you see Microsoft push the Halo franchise, which was not really meant to be an MMO-ish thing, into what they wanted it to be for Infinite. And how we saw, you know, that you can get this one product and it will sustain your whole studio for years and years and years and years and years. And everyone was racing for them. Everyone wanted one. And in that video, he was talking about how all of these projects were failing. And that what people have realized, what the suits have realized over recent years, is it's really fucking hard to get someone to move to a new game. Players are really sticky. And you can make an incredible game, but the players are so sticky once they're in that infrastructure that like you've got a hell of an uphill battle. And so to your comment, and I think Jason's got a very good point there. And to your point, I think that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Yeah, these other YouTubers, right? The World of Warcraft YouTubers, the Final Fantasy YouTubers, the whoever, even if they're not even from other MMOs, they're just looking to play it. It's there's an element of human nature, or like the way that these games are built, and they rope you into your rewards, and all the money, the real life money you've spent on them, and all the achievement points you've gained in them, and the friends that you've made in them, and all that stuff. For whatever reason, there's a million reasons why it happens. People just end up very tribal about it, even when they feel like they're not very tribal, and they just kind of flirt with other games and then go back. So my gut is, you say, oh, the personal story shit, that's why they're leaving after 5 hours. I don't know whether that's true. I actually think it's pretty good. It's got a lot of failings, but it is a very well-polished game, right? And I know it's 14 years old, but it's incredibly well-polished, and I think it's very captivating. I think Guild Wars 2 is very good. I just think that the industry in general, people are so sticky that it's difficult to get them to move across the other side of the aisle and stay on the other side of the aisle. And I myself embody that, guys. What are we doing right now? We're doing Guild Wars 3 daily. I'm not talking to you about Iceborne or whatever it's... What's the Frozen... What's the Frosty FF14 thing? Why am I not podcasting about that right now? Why am I not podcasting about an Elder Scrolls expansion right now? Why am I not podcasting about World of Warcraft Classic, right? They're all other MMOs that I have an interest in, with the exception of ESO, which I haven't played, but I do have an interest in. MMOs that I've played, MMOs that I've loved. Why am I not covering those right now, right? And it's because as a content creator, there's a huge difficulty, not only in, like first of all, I have my own geeky fandom for being a Guild Wars fan. I'm a Guild Wars fan. I'm in the Guild Wars camp. There's a part of me that will always come to Guild Wars. I love Guild Wars. I know Guild Wars. I'm comfortable with Guild Wars. I have all those hooks with Guild Wars personally, right? But when we move into the fact that the content creators, which you talked about there, there's also the fact of, like, if I go to another game, it's real, you know, I don't just have a job of liking it and loving it myself and investing in it myself, but getting everyone else in my community to watch it too, right? And people won't come over. They already have other people that they watch for FF14. Or like when I did my big Path of Exile 2 playthrough, that was another big live service game. Why am I not doing PoE 2 right now? Only a few people come. And, you know, there's all these extra pressures and stresses, and there's so, you know, I just want to give you a bit of context from the industry and in terms of other content creators. The odds of getting one of these content creators to go to one of these other games and truly stick with it is rough, all right? It's not because the personal story sucks, and it's not because it's the right decision to lean into a level 80 booster. You may be right anyway, and I may be wrong anyway, but I wouldn't use that argument, because I think it's just very hard to get across the aisle. And of course, all that shit is doubly fascinating when we talk about creating sequels to your own games, like Guild Wars 3 is about to do, guys. Pretty interesting. All right, next, what we got? Oh, this is just me openly wanking myself off into the microphone, I guess. Hey guys, I said something and someone agreed with me. Look at this guy agreeing with me. Ooh, JB17 quotes me saying, nobody gives a fuck about an RPG with 1,000 skills if they all feel the same. He said, oh my god, thank you, WP, yes. Yeah, like I say, a lot of you guys, like, you were alright with some of those takes. I'm really glad you guys feel that way about the longer cast times. And I think, yeah, we should keep those. I'm on camp. Buff Mighty Throw in a different way. Buff Flesh Golem in a different way. Buff Ray of Judgment in a different way. Or just bring the cast time back. And say this is for counterplay in Tanakai Temple. Or Napui Quarter or Vizsla Square or whatever. Guild Wars 3 is a prequel. Oh, yeah, you got me. It's true. You got me. By the way, guys, we haven't had the pop-up yet on screen. You got me. What we got next? Alpha 9575. As someone unaccustomed... This is a great comment, guys. Lots of interesting talk here. As someone unaccustomed to console online games, I'm really curious about how Guild Wars 3 is going to handle player-to-player communication. It's obviously a core part of MMOs, but it just seems difficult to pull off without a keyboard. Voice chat is a whole can of worms. And a screen keyboard seems annoying to use. I'm going to poll you guys in the live chat in a second, so I'm going to ask you to Alt-Tab again. Emotes only, like Hearthstone, seems too limiting. Yeah, didn't Sea of Thieves also do emotes only? What other big game did I play recently that did emotes only? What was it? There was a game I played that cut all possible communication. Like, you couldn't type to each other. You couldn't do anything except... What was that? What was that game? Perhaps the technology is ready for speech to text. This also makes me think whether PC and PS5 users will also share servers, and if yes, how well the different input styles will work together in general. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to put the poll up before I give my take, so it's nice and raw. I'm going to say in-game voice chat, yes or no. Okay, there you go. The poll is live. Put your votes in if you like. My instinct is that you guys are all going to vote no. I think people are all going to vote no. I think people don't like in-game voice chat. I don't think they like the idea of listening to... You know, I think when we're in our 30s, or our late 20s, or even our early 20s, or we're just jaded people, we don't like to really think about the fact that we're playing a video game with a bunch of teenagers. Do you know what the worst thing is? Playing VR games and a bunch of fucking toddlers are around and teenagers are around, and you just immediately get the vibe like, oh fuck, this is not it, these are not my people, this is not my vibe, this doesn't feel good, right? And they're screeching and wailing in the microphone and they're talking about the numbers 67 or whatever, and I think that there's a lot of people out there who are in this weird world right now where the fact is they need those younger people to buy and play this game because they need a big community to fund the game, but they don't really want to be around those people and they don't want to be reminded that those people are there. And for all those reasons, they will instantly turn off in-game voice chat. They will instantly turn it off. I think there are also a lot of nervous, vulnerable, fretful people, and possibly in many instances people that shouldn't be any of those things, but that's sort of a separate topic, who, you know, are scared of voice chat, you know, and just don't want to be abused and just don't want to deal with people's shit, all right? And they'll turn off in-game voice chat as well. But is it not enough to have it as an option? Let people opt out, but have it in the game, right? Like, I fucking love voice chat. I like this shit, man. Do you know what I like, guys? I like friend slop. I like that quiet little game. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Lethal Company. I like exploring dangerous, spooky areas, and then you're doing a jumping puzzle. You're trying to get out of the base, and you've gathered a bunch of items, and your friend's there. And he says, all right, here we go. I'm going to jump. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the jump. And you say, go on. Yeah, you got it. You got it. You got it. And he jumps and he misses the jump and he's shouting as he does it. He goes, oh no, I fell. And then you just hear his voice cut out as splat, he hits the floor. It's hilarious. It's so fun. Or someone is in the room next over running away from a monster and you hear them screaming in panic and then their voice just cuts out. And you don't know if it's because they escaped or because they died or they're hiding. In-game voice chat is cool, you know, and there's more reverb when you're in the echoey caves versus outside. Whenever I get the choice for in-game voice chat, I use it. I'll use in-game voice chat in Minecraft if I can. I'll put it. I love it. I used it for Enshrouded. I use it in all the friend slop. I played a friend slop game about gambling the other day where you could like cut your mouth off and it's fun. I love that shit. And why shouldn't we have that in MMOs? Why not? After all, why not? Why shouldn't I keep it? You know what I've always wanted to see with new console generations? I've wanted to see that they bundle higher quality headsets. I want high quality mics. That's all I care about. I hate people with shitty mics, and I know that's ironic coming from me. I don't have a shitty mic. I have shitty mic settings, alright? I'm just bad at my job. It's different. So I don't know. I would totally be up for in-game comms in Guild Wars 3, and, you know, controller players should be able to use it, and let us opt out. Or I would say, you know, if I don't want to be around toddlers, then let the mega servers handle that. Just like, okay, I just imagine this, guys. You can set it to matchmake you only with other role players, and there's in-game comms. So we're like, you know, like just playing Guild Wars 3 is like an episode of Critical Role. Whoa, you know? I don't know. I want to believe in that shit. The question is, does Arenanet? And I don't know yet. We haven't seen the post. Hey, we had another donation. Thank you, dude. 50 bucks. 50 bucks. Did you just put us over the 2,000 line? Oof, no, almost though. Almost. We're so close. Thanks for the content. Thank you for watching. I wouldn't be doing it if you guys weren't here, so thank you, seriously. Which Guild Wars 2 boss do you think would win in an NPC combat tournament? Both in terms of their power according to lore and according to their in-game moveset. Okay, you want two answers based on in-game moves? This is a really fun question. Okay, according to lore, who would win? My mind immediately said Balthazar, but I think I should stop because we didn't really fight Balthazar was a depowered god that only had the magic of a single shard of the Bloodstone. Which isn't that impressive, really. Probably the most dangerous thing we fought was Suwon having fallen to the void, right? That's an Elder Dragon that's also eaten a lot of magic from other Elder Dragons. That's pretty high up on the scales. Who's higher than that? So probably Suwon? In lore? Or more specifically, the Void? Is there anyone who's stronger? That we've actually come into contact with? Doom in the Hall of Chains might be, but again, it's a depowered god. It's a chained up god. So I don't think it quite fits. So probably that. And what about in Guild Wars 1? Abaddon, again depowered. Let's get away from gods. What about the Great... certainly not the Great Destroyer. Not Kilbron. Not Shiro. Yeah, no, I think it's probably her. So I think she wins in lore. Now, in-game moveset is a really amazing question, and I wish I could talk... I wish I had time to prepare for this, because I've been wondering about this for years. Well, not years. Do you know why I've thought about this a lot? You guys... I'm going to blow your mind. 99% of my Guild Wars 2 game time is raiding. I haven't really done it in the past couple of months, but it's been like doing Ura prog. That was nearly all I was doing in Guild Wars for like fucking 9 months or something. And I've beaten her, and I have footage, and I should do videos about it, but I just haven't. Oh god, I didn't delete that footage, did I have the logs. Anyway, there are some ads at the end of Ura that the way that the player base beats is just to ignore them, right? But they are ads, right? They are legendary ads. They're the legendary vent shots. If you guys don't know, so Ura was basically the last LM that came out. It's the hardest thing in the game at the moment, right, Ura? Ura LM. And in Ura LM, there's these ads, extra bosses, not even the main boss, but just other bosses. Each vent shot has more health than Matthias, who is himself an entire raid boss. That's how much stronger Ura is and how the power creep has gone with the game over the years, and that's how much more health you're fighting against. And you get swarmed by 6 of them. So in terms of just HP pools, it's like having fucking 6 Matthiases running around with you. So obviously people found strategies to ignore them. And there's all these half-broken mechanics in there as they share and split and move stacks around and stuff. Anyway, so that's one thing. And yeah, just thinking about that led me to wonder, you know, okay, if you had the raid bosses fighting each other, who would win? And it's a weird one because different raid bosses do different things, and they have like, you know, phases and stuff, and it's like, which mechanics do you eliminate? Like, Doom is a good contender as probably the ultimate winner of all raid boss fights, because a matter of seconds into the start of Doom, the first green goes, and if you don't resolve that green, that's a defeat to everyone. That's the entire fight. I think, I might not be remembering this perfectly, but I think Doom has the earliest global wipe out of all raid bosses. So if you did a tournament on all raid bosses, Doom would insta-defeat his opponents before any other opponents insta-defeat him due to a failed mechanic. But then you could twist the discussion a little bit and you could say, okay, let's imagine that the raid bosses are fighting each other, but they're not using AI, they're really smart. So they can position themselves. So what would happen if you put Ura versus Doom, for example? Ura would walk into that first screen and she would solve the first green, which means she would actually die on the second green because she would be soul flayed and the second green would fuck her up. So now it's a bit longer before there's a defeat, and I wonder if there's another raid boss out there that would handle it. Zero would kill a lot of raid bosses because Zero, if the platforms aren't done, she would just destroy those. And the raid bosses can't split themselves out to do these party mechanics necessarily. Though some of them possibly could. I don't know, it'd be really fun to like... That's just a fun video essay, frankly. That's it's got nothing to do with Guild Wars 3. That's just a fun thing you could do a video essay about. What raid boss would win in a tournament amongst all other raid bosses? But yeah, I think Doom would do very well. I think Doom would kill a lot of bosses. He's pretty quick before there's some kind of unsolvable, okay, you're just fucked mechanic. If you look at some of the other really difficult stuff, like HTCM, assuming a boss is allowed to be intelligent. By the way, if they're allowed to be intelligent, can they spam their skills and stuff as well? If they can start doing that, then that's... But yeah, like they could, you know, there's no reason to say that Ura would die at HTCM. Ura could handle the ball. But you get all these interesting questions. Can Ura, like, CC the ball? I don't know. It's a fun thought. Yeah, Minister Lee... Could they... What would happen at the Golem Sniper phase for Minister Lee? Do they have to kill them? So, I mean, you can balance it. I don't know. It's a fun thought, isn't it? I love the idea. And, okay, so you can figure out who the ultimate winner would be pretty quick. But let's talk about the lower leagues, right? It's like in Pokemon. It's more interesting to follow... you know, the lower leagues because the game's more balanced at those points. So I wonder what the most interesting matchup is, right? Minister Lee versus the Veil Guardian or the Bandit Trio, or do you know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of interesting. Right, moving on. That's not just a video essay, that's like a bunch of video essays. We had another donation. Wow, we got 10 CHF from Valak Nay. Thank you, Valak Nay. Hey, and you put us over the £2,000. We're already 2/3 done, guys. We haven't even done a month of the show yet. Well, hell, we've barely done over a week of the PC fund. Oh my god, we're making it. Thank you so much, guys. All right, Alpha 9575. Oh, yeah, no, there you go. That's the player communications comment. I don't know what we think there. Okay, you guys are kind of split on the voice comms. 50-50 almost. 56-44. The majority do say you don't want in-game voice comms. So how are these console players supposed to speak to you then? They're just not supposed to? Do they have to use... I remember I used to have a like a little Xbox controller add-on that gave me a mini keyboard. Do they do that? Do consoles have to, like, create phone apps so that you can type really quickly on your phone into your PlayStation? You did it just across the 2K base? It is. That is incredible. Thank you so much. Right, next question. We got Johan Wilkerstrom, 5671. I agree about... Oh, here we go. This is just more comments about the Guild Wars 1 skill balance. I actually do agree about the activation times. Giving all minion skills a 1 second activation time is a bit mad. And this would have been a great time to differentiate the skills a little. Give bone minions, which spawns 2 at once instead of just the one, a 1 second activation time because bombers have to keep summoning minions mid-combat. It also works thematically since these minions are weaker. Keep the Bone Fiends and the Flesh Golem at 3 seconds, but buff the Golem. Give all the other minion skills at 2 seconds, so people might actually use them over the Fiends. Well, people do use some of them, shambling. They buffed 6 minion skills, but there's only one worth mentioning, Bone Fiends, because they're so much better than the others. I don't know, I don't think that that's necessarily true. Like, Bone Fiends look great on paper a lot of the time, but actually aren't that fun. I tend to not go with Bone Fiend comps. Bone Fiends are really slow walking around, and they lag before they really start rolling the damage. Bone Fiends' comps are only really good when you're going to have like an epically tanky boss or like a really like spongy target, and that's quite rare in Guild Wars 1. You know, so that they can properly set up. So I don't know, there's a lot of downsides to Bone Fiends. Bone Fiends also, there are a lot of targets and they all hang around your backline. So they're kind of really annoying. If you're going to run like a Soul Twister, it just instantly fucking blows up your shelter spirit, right? So I don't really, at least when you're, like, I'm iffy running minions at all with a Soul Twister, frankly. But if you're going to do it, have them be on the front line at least is usually my feeling with that. And Bone Fiends kind of, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a nice balance in Guild Wars 1 about the different kinds of minions that you can run. But I feel like Aura the Lich is less interesting now. The execution of these skills is less interesting. And yeah, they're just doing this fucking race to the bottom, making everything faster. It's exactly the kind of balance I don't want to see from Guild Wars 1. Alright, here we got a long one here, guys. We got a very long one. We're coming towards the end of the episode now as well, by the way. I'm feeling a bit tired. We're nearly 2 hours in, frankly. Hey, WP, to extend the conversation about crafting a bit more. I believe crafting has great potential, but in its current form, it's a vestigial system of early attempts to capture that life sim element of MMOs. Wow, well said. I totally agree. It's been neglected and it's been left to stagnate, falling behind other systems that have evolved with the genre. If crafting were to become relevant, it would have to look toward both its real-life inspirations and its peer systems within the game space. Firstly, the real-life crafts and trades of blacksmithing, tailoring, jewel crafting, etc. that inspire MMO crafting systems, they're not even remotely analogous to clicking through nested menus and watching a progress bar fill as you smith a stack of 250 mithril ingots. Crafting is about the adroit application of dexterity, precision, and expertise in a journey to form raw ingredients into a single work of art. And the value of what you've created is not simply the collective cost of its basic materials, but a product of your actual skill, which we can then tax through VAT. Did you guys know that the French invented VAT and it swept across Europe and the world after that? Can't remember the guy's name now, but he's incredibly famous for discovering basically the most intelligent form of taxation the world's ever seen. If a crafting system in a game is going to capture that, it has to ask me to dedicate time and focus to the act of crafting and demand that I understand and interact with a malleable physical medium where I can fail or succeed on a spectrum based on my performance. Look at KCD2's alchemy and blacksmithing for a point of reference of what this would look like in a video game. Then make it much deeper and much more demanding for an MMO audience. Secondly, crafting has taken such a massive backseat to other systems that it might as well be in the trunk, the boot. There's no raid equivalent accomplishment in crafting. There is no deep mastery system. There is no legendary crafting status that takes years of chasing or thousands of gold to attain. Crafting has no fractal climb or PvP rank. Crafting is little more than a bit of homework that can be finished off with a handful of gold, a few button presses, and a single afternoon and a wiki page. I'll add there. He didn't put that in the comment, but let's be real. It has absolutely zero prestige or meaning, and that is why no one cares about it. Okay, let's be careful. Several people did say they do care about it. A meaningful crafting system could only stand strong in an MMO ecosystem if it facilitated deep skill expression, rewarded skillful execution, and reflected player expertise with social prestige. And, to stay relevant, the products of crafting would have to be desirable outside of the crafting microcosm and scarce enough that skilled crafters are always in demand. I love Guild Wars, I love Arenanet, but they will never make a good crafting system. It goes against their ethos. They don't like friction or scarcity or rewarding player success disproportionately to player failure. It seems to me that Arenanet has a philosophy that all content is for everyone and everyone is a winner. That's why every player has 500 in every crafting discipline and a few legendaries in their armory. That's not a complaint. I just don't think a deep and rewarding crafting system can thrive in that climate. And that climate. Either I've got the robbery on my brain, guys, or I'm calling what Arenanet has done a crime with that little Freudian slip there. He says, and to add, if Guild Wars 3 is not going to have a deep and meaningful crafting system, I'd rather not have a hamstring one. At that point, it's just bloat and annoying to interact with. I don't want obstacles in the way of fun. I want more opportunities to have fun. Okay, there you go. So this is... I just want to say on the outset, this is beautifully worded. Some of your phrasing here... Here's a comment. If I really, really try and I script a video, right, and I do a big essay and I really care, one of my favorite comments that I get, sometimes, not always, sometimes, but a comment that I've always enjoyed is when someone says, oh my God, you've managed to articulate how I feel. This is how I feel, but you've actually managed to put it in writing. Thank you for that, right? Or not in writing, you've said it out loud in a video or whatever. I love comments like that, right? I only ever get comments like that on essays where I actually get to sit and think and write. And you have just... I'm going to say that to you, Valestein. I think you've written something... This is written very well. Yeah, I think that you're right. It does feel a bit vestigial. I hadn't really thought about that, but I totally agree with you. I think it has turned into something where it's a bit hard for me to see where the fun is. And I think you're right that if I do imagine a crafting system where it's like, oh... Okay, so to take some examples, right? Some social examples. What do we like? Oh, that guy's in Snow Crows. That means he's really good at raiding, guys. Did you see that? That guy has a Snow Crows tag, right? There are some people, they're losers, right? But there are some people that act and talk that way in game, right? Or, oh my God, that guy, that is a really, really good roamer in World vs. World. I know that name. He's famous in World vs. World. He does it all this time. Or here's this famous tag, this commander. This guy logs on all the time. Shout out to Molasses if you're out there. Molasses was a commander, you know. There are certain Doritos that people get to know, and it's like, that's that guy. Oh, this is this guy from this PvP team. This is this guy, right? People get reputations, right? And they're remembered, and we love that. And that's a part of MMOs, and that's a part of MMO communities. And, you know, some people will dream of being those people that have those names, right? And if we imagine that you could get that as a crafter, right? Just picture it, a game where it's like, oh, shit, this item was crafted by that dude. That makes this really cool. It means it has high stats, or it has high RNG, or it looks really beautiful, or it's really rare, or it has a certain je ne sais quoi. I don't know, right? But I get it. I can imagine that, and in that world, yeah, I want to be a crafter, and I want to craft. And so what do? How do I become an epic crafter? Well, that's where it all starts to fall apart, right? Because it is against Arenanet's ethos. They're not going to have some skins that cost thousands and thousands and thousands that are just straight up better than others mechanically. They're not going to do that. They want that shit to be accessible. That goes not only against Guild Wars 2, it goes strongly against Guild Wars 1. That's one of their big ideas. I don't think that they're going to do that. So, being an epic crafter and really epic crafted items, it's purely cosmetic. All right, fine. Maybe we can still figure this out then. The only way you get a legendary in this game is because it's attached to like a known player on the server. That guy is a fucking awesome crafter. He's the only dude that can make the Dreamer. If you want the Dreamer, you have to buy it off of him. And his supporting guild or whatever. Maybe there's something there. Maybe, but okay. Okay, maybe we love this idea. Well, how do we make it work though? What does the crafting actually look like? What does skill expression in crafting mean? Well, shit. Does it mean hidden recipes that only you've discovered? No, because we're on the internet and people will wiki it. Does it mean ludicrously complex crafts behind millions of currencies and lots of them are daily gated and shit? Well, okay. Is that fun? That's basically what Guild Wars 2's doing. And that's still pretty open and accessible. And do you feel like a crafter jumping through all of those hoops? It's just an exercise in who's going to know life it harder jumping through those hoops. And now, the elephant in the room, finally, is it some kind of crazy mini game, right? Okay, so we're going to make a crazy mini game. So we're no longer making an MMO, but we're making a really robust mini game that's got crazy complexity and depth. We're basically reinventing chess, and it goes really deep. But even then, even if you do that, right, and you do that for an extra, and you dilute the experience, and you make all these amazing mini games, and you hit all of these goals, and they've got all this skill expression. You failed to make an esport, but you've managed to make 1 million crafting mini games that are basically esports, right? And now what? But, you know, people will run bots and screen readers and stuff. Mathematical-based games will get solved by third-party calculators. Overlays will solve things. It's a minefield. None of this shit's going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's an impossibility. This dream that we have, or that you have, it's not going to exist. I just don't see a way for it. Even if it was according to Arenanet's philosophies, I don't believe in it. Unless, I'm going to use a scary word now, guys, unless we're talking about, like, lots of dynamically generated, like, AI recipes, and the economy is shifting fast, and, like, okay, I want you to imagine the Mystic Forge. Okay, legendary weapons in Guild Wars 2 at launch, the idea was that they were all hidden, and you had to explore and discover. Each one was like its own mini ARPG, if you will, right? Not ARPG. What's it called? Alternate reality game, ARG, where you you had to experiment with the forge and figure that shit out. Arenanet didn't tell anyone any of those recipes. You just had to find them. They were mysterious, and it was like a puzzle to solve. And different things could come out of the forge. Like, you might not have discovered a legendary, but you've discovered Volcanus or whatever. Maybe there's a place for, like, the Mystic Forge 2.0, the Mystic Forges and Zomoros's ancestor in ore. This Mystic Forge is truly mystic. There is no such thing as wikiing recipes for this one. There's a lot of randomness baked into it, and inscrutable, dynamic, AI-driven systems or some shit. And I used the word AI there a little bit touchily. But do you get what I mean? Like, is that how you do it? And I don't know. This is all too heady. It's too in the clouds. And because fundamentally I'm not too into crafting, I just wash my hands with all of it. I say... So I don't know. That's my thought. Robert John has a comment in the live chat saying there is no aspect of the game that isn't botted or cheated in some capacity if someone is determined enough. I suppose Robert's argument there then is, so do it anyway. You just have to accept that these bots will exist. Don't let that kill the baby in its crib, throw the baby out in the bath water. Why am I so mean to babies in my metaphors and analogies? I think the botting and cheating and outside tools thing is really tricky when it comes to, like, the online multiplayer economy component, because someone's going to do it and dominate the market. And now what? He's a famous crafter on my server because he runs the tools more than other people, or he built the tools and kept them hidden from everyone else. And at what line is that cheating and stuff? Like, it's... I don't know, man. It's... How strong is Arenanet's appetite for all of this stuff? How strong is it, Arenanet? Are you out there? Are you talking about these things? There is no AI, there is only LLM. LLMs driving a crafting system. How's crafting in Eve? To loop this back to a thing earlier. Any anecdotes about that, by the way? Any of you guys who have played Eve, if you want to tell me about it? Give me some anecdotes. Give me some good anecdotes to escape from the IRL stresses, and some other ones to share in them with your robbing stories. Okay, Mixed Chimmer here. We're nearly done, guys. I'm the guy that made the comment about the Wow Nice credit card in response to seeing legendaries, and you did hit the nail on the head. My comment was specifically about launch. If you go back and look, I did specify that. And to throw some additional context, the reason I said this isn't because I always 100% assumed that legendary equals credit card. No. My issue was that it's impossible to tell. If this end game chase reward at launch could be earned by either play or just forking over cash, it kind of robs the crafter of any prestige associated with the item unless you explicitly ask them how they got it. And as an additional response to the Mormon username regarding earning rewards for long quests and such, make sure you can make your own quests, but I would argue players intrinsically want their rewards and they want their appearance to reflect something about where they've been and what they've done. When raids first came out, if you had a Gorseval staff or a Sloth hammer and used it in the open world, that communicates something about what you as a player have done in the game. Why do you think World of Warcraft makes so many of their prestige awards titles and mounts? When you can pay gold for pretty much any reward out there, like Guild Wars 2 at launch, and let's be real guys, for most of Guild Wars even to this day, your achievements do not tell any kind of story about you as a player. At least not a clear or consistent one. Yeah, and I understand that impulse in a big way. In my little fan fiction MMO thing, I have gear sets in different regions that you earn as you go through those regions, and it kind of shows like, oh, I chose to go to the mountains, so I'm in this fucking furry armor, and I chose to stick it out in the mountains, and I built my reputation in the mountains for a long time. So now I've got this like cool like Inuit outfit or whatever. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool to see other people around. I like the idea of going to a city and seeing someone all bundled up in winter gear and knowing, oh, he's just traveled from the mountains because he's bundled up in winter gear. He's clearly just come from somewhere frosty and snowy. Meanwhile, this guy is wearing clothes that show that he's clearly just been in the desert, right? I think that's fun, and that's something I built into my little fanfiction-y RPG. And there's an element of that with legendaries and grinding for mounts in raids and stuff. Dithyrus, regarding the optional sub discussion, Elder Scrolls Online has Elder Scrolls Online Plus, which is exactly that. It's an optional sub. However, they do something with that, in my opinion, can address the issue of forgetting your subscription. Every month that you're charged, you get the dollar equivalent in crowns. That's their premium currency gems. This is perfect for players like me who hyperfixate on a game for a few months, then burn out and stop playing for a while. Even when I take a long break from ESO, I keep my subscription going. I know I'll return to the game, so when I do come back, I have loads of premium currency to buy any cosmetics or character slots that I might need. I'm aware that not everyone can afford to do it, but this is a way that developers can make optional subs more fair and appealing. I never have to buy the premium currency in Elder Scrolls Online because I always have more than enough from my subscription. Also, I apologize for bringing up the Elder Scrolls in every comment, but it is my first love. Okay, Dithyrus just made a great point here on the monetization discussion and the optional sub discussion, and I'm really annoyed at myself now that you've mentioned all of that I didn't talk about that. Here we go, we got the pop-up, guys. Oh no, we had the pop-up half an hour ago. What the fuck? I'm going to talk about Kerry here. I usually don't like doing this. These are her stories, and, you know. Kerry loves Fallout 76, right? And she pays for Fallout first. And she's a bit like me with geocaching, where she'll take long breaks from Fallout first, from Fallout 76. Fallout 76 will do something like completely change the way that legendaries work, and it will put her off going back. She doesn't want to figure out the meta again, or for a while. Or they'll completely rework the base building, and now she's a bit worried about logging in for a few months because it might have broken the base and isn't quite sure about getting back into it, right? So she takes breaks from the game, but she doesn't let her Fallout first sub drop, right? She doesn't let it drop. And she's happy to let it keep going. And that's great for Bethesda, because Bethesda have a bottom line of money that allows Fallout 76 to be one of the best-selling games on Steam to this date, one of the biggest money spinners, and they can keep putting content out there, even through all the controversy, even through a small player base. Fallout 76 has devs that do good updates, strong, decent patches, and they keep working away on it. And the community likes what they're doing, and they found their feet. They have an optional sub, which is a beautiful insulation, and it's reliant on people that even though people quit the game, their subs continue. When people become lapsed with Guild Wars 2, Arenanet lose every penny. They don't get a fucking penny off of you. But when Kerry lapses with Fallout 76, they continue getting some money, right? Now, that's her thing, and, you know, so I don't want to dig into that too much. But I can promise you 100%. The reason she's happy to let her Fallout first sub go on, even while she's taking a break from the game, the reason she keeps it going is exactly what you just said, Ditherus, about the crowns. Is because she gets the in-game currency from it. And when she finally does pick the game back up, she has a big stockpile sitting there waiting for her. And she can pay her way through the current season, the current battle pass, effectively. But the battle passes are fun in that game as far as I'm concerned. She can pay her way through it. She can make a bunch of purchases. And she's got that nest egg. And she's happy to have that nest egg because she knows that the next time she logs into it, she's going to want to spend it. You're absolutely right. This is fundamental to the idea of an optional sub. The fact that the crowns keep flowing. Or what is it called in Fallout? I can't remember what they're called. I think it's like bullion. Is it bullion you get? No, that was a different one of their currencies. You get bullion from the vault at the end of one of the storylines because you go to Fort Knox or something. What is the currency? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, it's fundamental to it. And listen, guys, in all these conversations we've had recently where I've been talking about Guild Wars having an optional sub, yeah, the idea is that you would be getting free wagons of gems, right? They just keep giving you... You're getting something from it, all right? You're not just paying an optional sub and getting nothing. There is a reward. I want you to think about the carrot as much as the stick, okay? Yeah, none of us like spending money, okay? But the reward is a better, more comfortably sustained and developed game. And there is a carrot too. You are getting gems. You're getting wagons of gems. Yeah, Fallout 76 has caps, but that's the regular money. I'm talking about the premium currency. Atoms, that's it. Yeah, Zurus is right. It's atoms. It's atoms. Aggie says, isn't Guild Wars 2 subbed in China? No, it has an optional sub. Again, there's an optional sub. They called it VIP in that. You became a VIP. The carrot on that is that eventually you would get a free legendary, I think. Which a lot of us in the West sneered at. I remember that. A lot of people didn't like it. I myself probably sneered at it too. Don't let me shy away from that. I don't think I had very positive opinions about the VIP thing back then, but that was around 2013 and my mind is changing. Mithran Arkan says, I love spending money, but I don't like how it runs out eventually. Dragon Lord Archermage says, okay, so the ESO version with the crowns I respect more, but it doesn't matter, Arenanet will not do it. They will give you something for it. And yeah, I'm a bit frustrated with myself for not making that clear. Like, I'm an advocate for that even in Guild Wars 2. And by the way, Arenanet kind of do it anyway right now. When you look at like the weekly account, but anything that's on here weekly is kind of another version of it. And we get into the whole lifetime value or whatever. What is it, guys? Is it the weekly account bump? Is it the bump? No. What's it called? There's a thing you can buy every week from the store, which is like a discounted key and a discounted automatic unlocker or something. I don't know where it is. But that's, if you buy that if you subscribe to buying that every, you know, you mentally, you adhere yourself to buying that every week. That's cheap gems for you, basically. It's the same sort of thing, but they lock you in. That's all it is. That's the difference. Weekly supply package, is that what it is? The weekly supply package is sort of a similar thing. It would just be automating that's how I want to phrase it. We're talking about an initiative where they automate the weekly supply package. Do you find it tedious logging in every week? Do you occasionally forget to buy your weekly Black Lion supply package? Well, no worries, gamers. Starting from next month, Arenanet offers you the opportunity to subscribe, and we will automatically deduct the value of the 400 gems from your account, and those weekly Black Lion supply packages will be waiting for your mailbox when you return to the game. There you go. I can see the advert there with a guy in a Ritlock outfit. Like, you know. There you go. See, it's for your benefit. And there you have it. You have an optional sub. Okay, Kyle Clerk, 8099. What are your thoughts on what kind of level cap we'll see in Guild Wars 3? 20, 80, 100? We know there'll be horizontal progression, so it's kind of arbitrary overall, but it will affect player attitudes. What about your thoughts on the leveling curve? Do you see them changing their philosophy on that at all? I feel like the experience required for the latest masteries in VOE was not just enough to feel meaningful, and I prefer the latter half to Guild Wars 3 leveling to be similar to that, especially if the rewards, generic rewards here, because as of now we have no idea how combat skills work yet, feel really impactful. Yeah, you made me think about a lot of things with this question. This was a great question, Kyle. First of all, you made me wonder whether all the shit that they bundled into the game with the new player update during Season 1 will be a thing. Are we going to get, like, arbitrarily spammed with rewards every time we get a level? They clearly felt that was necessary at some point. Do they still? I don't think we need that. We never needed that. I just viewed all that as bloat. It's rewarding enough to level up. And if it's not rewarding enough to level up, you've made a shit RPG. I'm sorry. And throwing boosters and shit at people is not the solution to that. I completely disagree with that. But maybe they'll stick to their guns. And Guild Wars 3 at launch is going to feel like the new player experience stuff, you know? That's going to be weird. With regard to the leveling curve, I think that they will stay with the same philosophy. I see no reason why not. And their philosophy, guys, is that the first 20 levels have a curve or so. Right? So it's pretty quick to get from level 1 to 2. You do that just from beating the tutorial. And then getting to 3 is pretty quick. And 4 is pretty quick. And 5's... But it's slowing down. It's slowing down. But when you hit like level 20, which in theory isn't too far in your adventure, once you're at 20, it flattens out. Their philosophy was that it's good to have that starting ramp, but afterwards, at the end of the day, if you've identified that it's really fun to level up about once every hour and a half, then that's how long it should take to level up. And why should it be that at level 79 to level 80, we're asking for 5 weeks of investment? It should be about an hour and a half. If that's where it's fun, that's where it's fun. So we're going to have a flat leveling curve. From 20 to 80, it's flat. Now, that philosophy, I think, is brilliant. I think it was brilliant back in 2010, where they were whispering it into my ear. And I was screaming at them to take my money, like Fry holding the cash up. And I think it's brilliant still to this day. So I think they'll keep that. I think where leveling in Guild Wars 2 messed up is they made a lot of mistakes in terms of they gave you too much experience for unfogging areas, bonus experience from killing enemies, experience from crafting, shit like that, right? Booster access. And over the years, it's been power crept. So I think it happens too fast now. And I think they never landed on the 1 hour and a half hour properly, right? But this is a very rich topic because clearly going from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2, they realized it's fun to level up. It's fun to be at that middle moment of the RPG, right? We're in Blaze Ridge. We're not in the early game, but we're not in the late game. We're leveling, and we're still finding new places to explore and characters to meet, and there are big bosses and endgame feeling things, but there's still progression to be had, and oh, it's so fucking magical, and it's so fun, and we're going to make the first demos this. They knew it. They knew that that was a fun part of the experience. But then they were like sort of locked into never giving it to you again because they'd said that they were never going to raise their level cap or add more gear, and then then they went to the mastery system, and yeah, with the mastery system they've experimented with. It's not a flat level cap anymore with the mastery system, and it all just becomes a fucking mess. It becomes a mess. And so you ask me, what are they going to do, WP? I don't know. I haven't got a clue. No levels? To go no levels is to be more of a spiritual sequel to Guild Wars 1 than Guild Wars 2 was, right? You look at how you play factions. A couple of hours, you're level 20, and that's it, right? You may as well have no levels. They could do no levels. They could do 20 as a tip of the hat back to Guild Wars 1. They could do 80 as a tip of the hat to Guild Wars 2. They could do 100 to try and go for the Guild Wars 2 idea again, but do it right this time, right? They could do that. They could say the flat leveling curve, but we're just going to learn lessons and tweak things, which I would also be excited about. I don't know. I got no idea. I like the idea of them running with some of their Guild Wars 2 ideas, but just doing it in such a way that they have learned their lesson. But I'm a little bit nervous when I say that because it has been 14 years and I wonder whether they're even in the same headspace anymore. Maybe they've changed their mind. Maybe there's different people in those meetings now. You know, it's like if they made a new MMO in 2013, that was a brilliant time to make a new MMO. Why? Because they had a studio that had just recently expanded and built an MMO. But also, they had literally just had a bunch of ideas and seen how the chips fell. And they could have immediately iterated on that right then and there. Same guys, same ideas, same philosophies, but refined, right? So that's why I don't really hold it against them when we saw Season 1 was like under budgeted and they were clearly making a sci-fi version of Guild Wars 2, right? I don't hold it against them because I think in a lot of ways it was a smart move, right? Back then. Making a sequel 14 years later, where there's a lot of brain fog and there's a lot of dust and cobwebs and there's new people, like there are people in very prominent positions in Guild Wars 2 that had absolutely no say, have no clue what Arenanet was setting out to make with the original, right? Or even the sequel. And now they're making decisions for the third one, and it's like, well, what are they going to make? We're kind of just going, it's just pot luck again at this point, right? Isn't it? So, I don't know. It's a fascinating topic. You guys are welcome to drop your thoughts on that one. And for the final question here, we have Zach Wilson. This is the last one of the episode, guys. I wholeheartedly agree, says Zach, that FF14 is better for funneling new players through the story. And this is coming from someone who, prior to playing FF, used to claim that a linear story was not important in an MMO. To me, and they're ultra linear in that. To me, what made an online world captivating was always about the lore. The stuff of World of Warcraft packs into the side quests, not just the main campaigns. 14's focus on story leads to other problems though as well. The amount of story a player now has to slog through to catch up is an insane amount of hours, mostly spent running from NPC to NPC running dialogue. I enjoyed it, but there was always a feeling that I was missing out on content I would have also enjoyed. I burnt myself out on their story finishing Endwalker. I wish I'd been able to finish it because I did manage to put together a team that did some old Stormblood Savage Raid content and had a blast. What I want from Guild Wars 3 is less focus on a linear story narrative and more focus on the world and its story. I want engaging mini-stories that add to the set and setting of the game. Stories that dig deep into the specific characters and zones and their histories. As much as I appreciate the emotional heights of Shadowbringers, I don't believe it's something Guild Wars 3 or other games should try to copy. It's something Square Enix is uniquely good at, and it should be a unique feature of 14 as a product. World building with small-scale, self-contained stories give players who care the option to engage at any time, without the concern that missing one part will affect the experience quality of their later seasons. If the game doesn't gate content or force writers to try and satisfying way to wrap up many long-running story beats, which is something most long-form storytelling formats struggle with. I kind of hate this. I love this comment. I think you've got a lot of good points, but I hate it because it's such a tangled nest of so many things. Some of you guys do this. You drop these comments, and it's just like there's a million things wrapped up in this. Alright, my first response is this. I hate the idea that Arenanet shouldn't try to match the emotional heights of Shadowbringers. Fuck that. No, dude. I'm playing this game to experience epic emotional stories. I play RPGs for big, powerful moments and powerful stories. And look, Square Enix gave it to us in Shadowbringers after hundreds of hours, but Square Enix has given it to us in many JRPGs that aren't MMOs, right? I have incredibly powerful, emotional, strong reactions to FFX, and that's at most a 40-hour RPG. That's not that long. That's shorter than the personal story. So let's not confuse things here. I don't think that Square Enix are uniquely capable of telling a good story. I think Arenanet are totally capable of looking at why their storytelling is successful, looking at characters like Emmett Selk and frenemies, looking at delivery systems like their cutscenes, like their how much is voiced versus what is not voiced, like the engagement of clicking on NPCs, right? Like how often they recap the story, how they handle your friends. And that can all be ported into Guild Wars. None of that is unportable. None of that is unmimicable. That is not unique to Square Enix. Square Enix just happen to sit on the throne at the moment, but I don't want to tell Arenanet don't even try. No, I want Arenanet to try. I want to live in awe, and I want it to, you know, really get... I want it to blow my mind, like when I discovered who the Exarch was. Shout out to anyone who watched my live Let's Play of that. That was fucking awesome. Arenanet should aim high with that. No, I do not accept that they can't do that. I also don't accept that it takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. I don't accept either that it's all a slog. I accept that ARR is a slog. But Heaven's Ward is pretty fun and engaging. Bits of Stormblood aren't that good, and bits are a slog. But other bits are really good, like when we're dealing with Xenos. And hold on, what are we saying at this point, right? When we acknowledge that fact that some bits are... There is, as far as I hear, there are sluggish bits in Endwalker itself, right? What are we... That's just media. Name me a book series that doesn't have slow bits, right? Name me a long-running TV show that doesn't have slow bits. And that a part of that is taste, a part of that is authorship, right? This, it just comes down to quality writing. I fundamentally believe you need to hit at least that 40-hour level. Heart of Thorns doesn't do that. Living World doesn't do that. POF doesn't do that. End of Dragons doesn't do that. VOE doesn't do that. Janthia Wilds doesn't do that. Secrets of the Obscure doesn't do that. Arenanet don't do that. Square Enix do. I think that that's a fundamental line in the sand, and I want to see that from Guild Wars 3. But there's still there's a big difference between talking about 40 hours and like hundreds of hours of slog that 14 sometimes gets a reputation for. So those are some of my immediate reactions. As to your overall just idea, you guys can hear my throat's going. It's too much talking. It's too much talking doing these videos and all the IRL shit. Being on the phone with insurance people and the fucking theft and all this bullshit. Oh my god, dude. But overall, I totally agree with you, though, that, like, I like the idea of, instead of committing to one massive long story, we have, like, branches. I've always liked the idea of, you know, like Baldur's Gate? There's so many branches. Okay, you're going to be friends with Minthara, but how are you going to do it? Are you just going to be evil and get her on side? Or are you going to let her get knocked out and save her in Act 2? Or, like, there's so many ways to the game. I love the idea of, like, imagine if when Guild Wars 2 launched, and they started doing extra story beats. It was always just the game about Zaitan. That was all it was ever about. It was just about Zaitan in this moment. But every new expansion adds a new aspect to that story. Oh, here's what the Tengu were doing. Oh, here's what the Lagos were doing. Oh, here's what these guys were doing. And they don't all have to end at Zaitan, but they're like other branches and they weave around, right? And you're slowly building this epic Baldur's Gate style RPG with all these branches. That's a way to do the personal story and expand on the role-playing. You know, so, and I think there's an idea there. Yeah, we don't have to keep tapping onto the end. And in fact, I don't think Arenanet will. I think they're wrong to have done this, but I think they think that the Elder Dragon story failed because it went on too long. Why else did they shit can it, right? And they won't commit to that again. In Guild Wars 3, I think they're going to lower the story stakes immediately. And yeah, for the expansions, they might just go with other ideas. But that's fine. Listen, if Guild Wars 3 is a 40-hour long RPG, they can get some big, badass emotional beats, and I'm happy. If their next expansion is a side story that is also 40 hours, but doesn't tack on to the end, brilliant! I'll take it again. And again and again and again. I think that would be a really good format for how they tell their stories. So that's my reaction to that. There you go, guys. Yeah, I do have to sleep. You're right. I've been up for a long time. By the way, have I renamed my WP2 channel? I did. I took the 2 off of it. I kind of like the idea of one day that being WoodenPotatoes IRL. And that's the one where we do face cam stuff and coin videos and shit like that. Meanwhile, this channel, this is WoodenPotatoes Gaming. And this is about Guild Wars and all the stuff you like, and Zeus and all the games you know and love, and Let's Plays and things. Wouldn't that be sick? But yeah, it's just weird. Basically, there's a weird thing going on where WoodenPotato... I don't know how this ended up happening. but Wooden Potatoes 2 is the real channel. And this is like a brand channel. I have no idea how it happened. But basically, when you email me directly, and some people do that, right? I get a lot of spam. You don't email Wooden Potatoes the channel. You email the Wooden Potatoes 2 channel. So if I want to stop being called Wooden Potatoes 2 to everyone online, like the actual email account and stuff, when I rename it, it renames that channel. So and it's a really labyrinthine back end to see how everything connects together and if I can resolve it. So, but yeah. All right. Okay. We have a donation from Judy, keeping me from stopping me from leaving with bad throat. Thank you, Judy, with the $5. Has anybody seen my spud? How can I be a pay piggy without my spud? Also, in my opinion, nobody cares about MSQ minimum story hours. Classic WoW open questing. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I don't even... The thing is, guys, I don't remember Classic WoW having a main story. Did it? It was just go explore the world and do side quests, right? There was no main story. Yeah, nice little Zeus reference there from Judy, who's been dropping amazing comments as they go through the Zeus LP. Judy's one of those people that has been dropping comments with all this advice about how to play the game. I structured that Let's Play so that it's like normal gameplay early and then slowly more and more technical and advanced and like clever gameplay later. Like there's a progression as the LP goes along. And he's in the early episodes being like, oh, here's how you do this. And not realizing that by the time we get to like episode 50, there's some crazy fucking tech in that show. But they're getting there. It's good fun, yeah. And I've been loving the comments. World's largest iPod with the $10. Thank you, guys. You've all been incredibly generous. Thank you for listening to my bitching about the robbery. Story, in 2010, when I was in high school, I went on a youth orchestra tour to Denmark. The coach bus got robbed. 10 grand in cash was stolen, I think, from the conductor. Oh my God. Wow. I guess that makes sense, right? Because instruments can be very expensive. I saw a video the other day of some violinist dropped like in the middle of a crazy thing, like an ancient violin that they were allowed to play. And apparently they like get insured out the ass and stuff. That is crazy. Wooden potato. Thrown out of... I can't do the voice. Thank you, guys. That's Guild Wars 3 Daily for today. I promise these will get shorter. How the fuck this is nearly 3 hours again? All I did was grab a couple of screenshots today. And we have a little bit of a story. We didn't even have like a section in there. There you go. That's a lot. I consider us to have fully paid our dues for having missed a couple of episodes there. There you go. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you tomorrow for another one in the evening, not in the morning. My throat will still be sore if I go to bed now and then immediately wake up and do another one. Thank you all. It's been brilliant. Drop your comments for more Q&A. We'll probably look at Guild Wars 2 Balance on the next one, maybe. Or do the monetization thing. I think I should spin out a real video. I haven't spun out a video for like over a week now. And at the end of the day, that is the lifeblood of the channel. So, I don't know. Put your proposals in there if you like. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Oh, quick comment in the live chat. He's probably gone already, but Aggie, he says, I'd have loved it if we went to the far northern Shiver Peaks of the Norn homelands for Jormag, and a different expansion for the deep, deep depths for Primordus. Yeah, me too. That would have been incredible. That would have been really, really, really cool. I would have loved that.